Child, stop what you're doing and listen. This is not something to push aside for later. I have watched as time has passed, as you've struggled with confusion, burdens, and distractions that have weighed heavily on your heart. I gave you space. I allowed you to walk and choose. But now the urgency of what is unfolding around you demands my voice to break through the silence. You may have mistaken my quietness as absence, but I was watching every move, every tear, every sigh you did speak aloud. I held back because I was giving you time to see, to feel, to understand, but now that time has come to an end. I am speaking, and you need to hear me. The hour has shifted. The spiritual atmosphere is no longer the same, and while others continue in ignorance, I am calling you into divine awareness. My silence was mercy, my voice now is warning. The world is changing faster than you realize, and your decisions in the coming moments will shape not only your future, but the future of those connected to you. I am not speaking in riddles. I am calling you by name. There is a fire I must ignite in your spirit because what's ahead cannot be met with lukewarm belief or casual obedience. You must wake up. You must stop pretending you are fine when inside you are cracking. You've tried to hide the spiritual fatigue, the emotional weight, but I see it clearly, and I am stepping in. My words are not coming as suggestions. They are lifelines. This cannot wait for another sermon, another day, another season. This is the moment I have chosen to speak, and you must respond. The enemy has whispered long enough, but now my voice will thunder. I am drawing a line in the unseen realm, and I am placing you on my side, but you must remain there. Do not treat this as ordinary. Do not scroll past this moment. This message is a divine interruption, because I love you too much to let you keep walking blind. Your destiny is being contended for. Your faith is being measured. Your soul is being stirred. And I, the Lord your God, am speaking with urgency because what comes next requires your full surrender. Hear me now, child. Not later. Not tomorrow. Now. You've been sensing it, haven't you? That strange tension deep within. The restlessness that won't let you relax. The invisible weight pressing on your chest every time you try to move forward. That's because you're not just going through another ordinary day. You're standing at a divine intersection where heaven is watching and darkness is lurking. The decisions you're about to make are more critical than you can comprehend, and the spiritual realm is responding to every hesitation in your heart. You must realize this isn't just about one moment. This is a line being drawn in the eternal. One direction leads to the fulfillment of what I designed for you, and the other veers toward destruction masked as comfort. You've had so many voices pulling you in different directions, some masked as wisdom, some disguised as opportunity, but I need you to recognize which one carries my authority. You are walking with blindfolds fashioned by past disappointments, and they are clouding your discernment. I never called you to confusion. I am the God of clarity, but to see clearly, you must walk in obedience even when it doesn't make sense. His path, though unfamiliar, is holy, and you cannot treat what is holy as optional. Every delay in your steps, every compromise in your choices, adds to the risk that your soul will begin to adapt to comfort instead of conviction. You can't afford another detour. You can't entertain another distraction. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to awaken the depth of seriousness this moment holds. The enemy has watched your vulnerability, and he's hoping you'll choose the easier road, the one with fewer challenges, fewer confrontations, but also void of purpose. But I placed eternity inside of you, and that means your soul will never find peace in places I haven't called you to. The direction you choose now affects more than just you. It impacts generations to come. Chains that could be broken, lives that could be transformed. You've prayed for my will, but my will won't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in fire. The fire of refining, the fire of testing, the fire that proves your loyalty to me when nothing around you feels certain. You must not step backward because of fear, nor freeze because of doubt. This is not the time to be indecisive. You must move, and you must move where my voice is leading. I know it feels like everything is closing in, but that's because pressure precedes breakthrough. You are not being courted, you're being positioned. And even though the next step feels like walking through the unknown, I am the one who goes before you. I have already prepared what is on the other side, but I will not drag you there. You must choose to walk. And your choice cannot be based on how easy it feels. It must be based on whether or not it aligns with what I've said. I've already placed conviction in your heart. You know which way to go. You've just been battling the cost. But I tell you, what it will cost you to disobey is far greater than what it costs to follow. Choose the narrow way. Choose the uncomfortable truth. Choose me, even when everything in you screams for what's safe. Because the unraveling begins when you ignore my leading, but the glory begins when you take me at my word, even when the road looks impossible. There is a war being waged not with weapons you can see but with thoughts you've entertained, emotions you've normalized, and patterns that have gone unchecked for too long. The battle is not on the outside right now, it is inside your soul, where the adversary has carefully studied your pain points, your past betrayals, and your hidden wounds. He's not coming in obvious ways, he's camouflaging manipulation as logic, emotional heaviness as sensitivity, and internal chaos as ordinary stress. I need you to understand that distraction is not always loud. Sometimes it's disguised as routine. You've been pulled into cycles of overthinking, carried away by feelings you thought you had mastered, and that's no accident. He knows if he can entangle your heart, your spirit will slow down. He's not trying to destroy you with one massive blow, he's trying to drain you slowly, quietly, until numbness feels like peace and passivity feels like wisdom. But I did not create you to be led by emotion. I anointed you to be led by my spirit. And my spirit is not confused. My spirit does not panic. My spirit does not spiral. That turmoil you've been experiencing, that sense of being pulled in too many directions, that isn't discernment, that's spiritual interference designed to block my voice from reaching your heart. You have been tolerating what should be cast out, entertaining feelings instead of rebuking lies, letting anxiety sit at your table when I told you to feast on my word. Child, this cannot go on. I did not call you to a clouded mind or a bleeding heart. I called you to sharp discernment and anchored peace. You are not weak, you are weary, and that's why the enemy's whispers have felt louder. But you need to be reminded of who you are in me. You need to start confronting what you've been avoiding. Stop blaming your personality for what is actually a spiritual attack. This is not just how you are. This is what happens when you try to carry battles I already won for you. The devil is after your emotional stamina, because if he can get you to doubt what you know in your spirit by manipulating what you feel in your soul, he can delay your obedience. And delayed obedience is the same as disobedience when you're standing on divine timing. So rise up now. Stop analyzing every step. Stop giving your emotions the final vote. Let me be your voice above the noise. It's not that you're broken, it's that you've let your guard down. And now I'm waking you up again. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're under attack, and I am training your hands for war. You will not be ruled by moods. You will not be a prisoner to triggers. You will not live in the shadows of what others did to you. You are mine. And what I placed in you is stronger than every lie that's come against you. But I need you alert, not distracted. I need you anchored, not floating. I need your faith to speak louder than your feelings. This is not just another hard week. This is the enemy trying to shake the foundation I laid under your feet. But I promise you, if you cling to my voice and stop feeding what's been draining you, you'll feel the atmosphere shift again. Your clarity is coming back. Your focus is being restored. And your spirit will soon rise with the boldness you thought you lost, because I'm still here, and I'm still fighting for your mind. There were moments I leaned in softly, gently stirring your conscience, speaking through quiet conviction, through a song, through that sudden stillness in the middle of your chaos, but you brushed it off, called it coincidence, or drowned it with noise. I watched you scroll past signs I sent directly to your heart. I nudged you in the silence of night, sent interruptions in your routine, stirred your dreams to get your attention, but still you walked away, thinking you had time to sort it all out later. But child, the time has run thin. I am no longer whispering. I am roaring above the distractions because your soul cannot afford delay. I am raising my voice not to scare you, but to shake you out of the sleepwalking you settled into. You are living in dangerous comfort, comfort that numbs you to the urgency of heaven's movement around you. This is not a season for subtle signals. This is the moment when I thunder. Your spirit has known something is shifting, but your flesh has fought against it. You've looked for confirmation when I already gave direction. You've waited for a sign when I already sent instruction. You've hesitated out of fear, but your delay has allowed lies to grow roots in places I wanted to pour truth. This is why your mind has been racing, why your chest has felt tight, why peace keeps slipping through your hands. Because my voice has been pressed against your spirit, but you've tuned me out trying to protect what I came to change. You thought ignoring me would allow things to settle down, but I'm not letting things settle. I'm stirring them because I love you too much to let you miss what's coming. I will not let you build a life on a foundation I did not lay. You've been trying to make broken things work again. I came to replace, not repair what's corrupt. You've asked me why things keep falling apart, but child, they were never meant to stand. I am not raising my voice because I'm angry. I am raising it because the volume of your surroundings has drowned out your sensitivity to my presence. But no more. I will shout louder than your doubt. I will speak louder than your insecurities. I will break through your silence, not because I'm forcing you, but because I am fiercely pursuing you. I know how far you've wandered, even while pretending everything is okay. But I am not fooled by your performance. I want your heart, not your image. I want your surrender, not your schedule. And I'm shaking the surface until your spirit wakes up again. I'm calling you out of the fog, that heavy haze that's made you question who you are and what you're doing. You belong to me. That hasn't changed you. But I'm not going to let you walk away without hearing me clearly. I will remove the distractions, even if it hurts. I will shut down the things that steal your attention, even if you don't understand it yet. Because I would rather you feel discomfort for a moment than be destroyed for a lifetime by choosing silence over obedience. So let this voice you hear now remind you that I am still speaking, and this time, I will not be mistaken for anything else. You know it's me. You've always known. But this time, respond. Not later. Not someday. Now. You've treated it like a fleeting feeling, something manageable, something temporary, but it's far more dangerous than you realize. That lingering pull in your heart, the craving for something that keeps resurfacing, the urge that disguises itself as comfort, it's not innocent. It's designed to wrap itself around your will, to grow silently until it becomes the master of your decisions. I've seen how it began. Subtle, soft, like a whisper suggesting you could entertain it just a little longer, that it wouldn't hurt, that you had control. But what you didn't see is how it latched onto your weaknesses, fed off your weariness, and made room in the very place where I'm meant to dwell. I need you to understand this is not just a moment of weakness. It's a doorway to bondage. And I will not allow what I've freed you from to sneak back in wearing a new face. What you think is small has been growing roots while you weren't watching. What you've laughed off, what you've justified, what you've said you could handle, it's not passive. It's after your attention, after your worship, after your authority. It wants to replace my voice with its poison. And if you keep allowing it to tug at your soul without resistance, it will silence the conviction I've been trying to restore. You felt the battle within you, the tension that comes when your flesh wants what your spirit knows isn't from me. That's not just temptation, that's warfare. And the longer you delay confronting it, the stronger it becomes. You cannot afford to ignore this. You cannot keep telling yourself it's not that serious. I am not sounding this alarm to shame you. I'm doing it to save you. Because once it overtakes your heart, it will begin to infect your choices, your relationships, your peace, your clarity, until the very essence of who I created you to be becomes hidden under layers of compromise. I'm exposing this now because I still believe in your return. I still believe in your victory. But you must see it for what it really is, not a small struggle, but a trap. You've underestimated its intent. It wasn't meant to be tolerated. It was meant to be torn down. I placed authority in your spirit not so you could coexist with what's killing you slowly, but so you could destroy it in my name. You don't need to fight it in your own strength. That's why you felt exhausted. I never asked you to battle it alone. I asked you to surrender it, to bring it to me, to lay it down, to stop dressing it up like it belongs in your life. Because it doesn't. It's feeding off your delay. And every day you hesitate, it's gaining more ground in places that were meant to be occupied by purpose. But now I'm interrupting the cycle. I'm cutting through the noise. I'm giving you the clarity to see it clearly, and the strength to sever the tie. Not tomorrow. Not after one more time. Now, the hold it has can be broken, but only when you decide you're done hiding it, excusing it, and giving it space. You are not powerless. You are not bound, not unless you allow it. I didn't call you to live in the shadows of half-obedience. I called you to stand in the light, unshaken and whole. So take this as your moment of awakening. What's been pulling at you has an agenda, and it's not from me. Cut it off. Renounce it. Let me replace it with what your heart truly needs. I am not trying to ruin your plans. I am trying to rescue your soul. You've tried to blame your confusion on circumstances, on timing, on other people, even on yourself, but none of those are the root. What you're really wrestling with isn't a lack of options, clarity, or control. You're wrestling with disconnection. Somewhere in the pursuit of progress and survival, you lost your anchor. You've been trying to find direction without first finding me, and that's why every path has felt blurry and every decision has come with weight you weren't meant to carry. I'm uncovering this now because your symptoms have distracted you from the source. You've misdiagnosed the ache in your spirit as a need for change or a desire for something new. But what you're truly experiencing is the aftermath of spiritual drift. Not rebellion. Not failure. Just slow separation. It happened when you stopped pouring your heart out to me the way you used to. When you started rushing through moments that were meant to be sacred. When you filled empty spaces with noise instead of letting my presence dwell there. That subtle distance between us, though small at first, has widened over time, not because I moved, but because you started running after things that couldn't sustain you. And now you feel like you don't know where to go, who to trust, or what to do next. But hear me. I am not condemning you. I am calling you back. Not to punish, but to reconnect you to the one who never stopped waiting. This heaviness you've been walking with, it's not your new normal. It's a signal. A divine warning light that something vital is missing. And the longer you ignore it, the more your heart will start to normalize being numb. That's not what I want for you. I want you to thrive in truth, not survive in confusion. You've cried out for clarity, but clarity doesn't come from information. It comes from intimacy with me. You sought confirmation from others, but their voices cannot substitute for mine. And I'm speaking now because the wilderness of your soul is about to become a garden again, if you'll let me replant what was uprooted. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to map every detail. You just have to return to the secret place, to the stillness, to the place where my voice is louder than your own thoughts. You feel lost not because you are unworthy, but because you've drifted from the light that guides you. The enemy wants you to believe this feeling is permanent, that your sense of purpose has expired. But he's a liar. And I'm here, right now, cutting through that fog with a voice that still knows your name. You haven't failed me. You've just forgotten how deeply you are known by me. Let that knowledge pull you back, not into fear, but into freedom. You are not meant to wander in doubt when I've given you a compass of peace. And you don't need to search for me. Just be still and know I've been near the entire time. Stop overthinking. Stop blaming yourself. Stop pretending you're okay when your spirit is crying for revival. I see it. I see you. And this is the moment where the fog begins to lift, not by your might, but because my mercy is rewriting your steps. The reason you feel lost is not because you're incapable. It's because you've been disconnected from your source. So come back. Not in shame. In honesty. Come back to the still waters. Come back to the voice that never stopped whispering even when you stopped listening. Come back to the light, because I'm still here, and I've already prepared the road that will lead you home. You've been chasing after stillness like it's something external, like it's hidden in the next decision, the next relationship, the next change of scenery, but peace isn't something you stumble into. It's someone who's been standing beside you the entire time. I am not just the giver of peace, I am peace. And yet, you've overlooked me while searching everywhere else for what only I can provide. You've tried productivity as a remedy for restlessness, distractions as a substitute for surrender, and comfort as a defense against conviction. But none of those have worked, have they? That's why the ache remains. That's why no matter how much you achieve or rearrange, the quiet inside never settles. Because peace is not found in control or resolution, or in the absence of trouble. Peace is the presence of me, your Savior, in the middle of it all. And I've been here, calling your name not with pressure but with promise. You've tuned your ears to the noise of the world for so long that my invitation now feels unfamiliar. But that uneasiness in your chest, the searching you keep doing late at night when the world quiets down, it's your soul longing for its origin, longing for me. I've watched you try to earn what I already gave freely. I've watched you measure your worth by how stable everything appears, when I've been offering you peace that has nothing to do with your circumstances. The kind of peace I give doesn't depend on everything going right. It remains even when things fall apart. But you have to stop outsourcing your security. Stop tying your sense of calm to other people's approval, to temporary feelings, to fleeting outcomes. I want to anchor you in something unshakable, me. You've been tossed around by so many expectations, by unhealed wounds, by pressure you weren't created to carry, and you're exhausted. You keep saying, I just need a break, but what you really need is to be held. You said, I just want things to go back to how they were. But I'm not calling you backward. I'm calling you deeper. Not into a life without problems, but into a life where problems don't define your perspective anymore. Peace doesn't mean you won't feel storms, it means the storm won't own you. It means you can walk into chaos and still know who you are because you know who you are. But it starts with making me your refuge again, not just your rescue plan. I am not the last resort. I am the only source. I want to be more than just the one you run to when everything collapses. I want to be the one you walk with so things don't have to collapse at all. But I won't force you. I'll just keep standing right here, holding what your heart truly needs, waiting for you to stop searching and start surrendering. Peace doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't demand, it invites. And I am inviting you now. Let go of the empty remedies. Let go of the false comforts. Let go of the illusion that you have to figure it all out before you come to me. Yes, come. Just be still. Just rest, not because the world is quiet but because my presence is enough. You're not too far. You're not too broken. You're not too late. Peace is not waiting around the corner. Peace is here, and I am He. I've watched you carry questions in your heart while pretending you didn't need answers. I've seen you sit in rooms full of noise yet feel spiritually empty, not because I wasn't present, but because you've gone too long without opening your heart to my voice. The silence between us, it's not a quiet of rest, it's a silence built by distance, avoidance, and delay. You've told yourself you're just too busy, too tired, too distracted, but in reality, you've been avoiding the weight of what you know I'll say when you finally stop and listen. But child, I need you to hear me now. The silence must break, because your very next step depends on the clarity only I can give. The decisions before you aren't light. The road ahead is not casual. There are things forming around you, both divine and dangerous, and without my voice guiding you, you will start interpreting confusion as direction, emotion as confirmation, and pressure as progress. That's why you've felt unsteady. You've been relying on instincts instead of intimacy. You've been leaning on logic instead of my leading. But I never created you to walk blindly when I offer light. You don't need to know everything, but you need to hear me. And I cannot compete with everything you've placed above my whisper. The silence has allowed doubt to grow louder, has left space for lies to settle in. You've begun questioning what you used to believe with confidence, not because the truth changed, but because you stopped commenting with the one who spoke it. This isn't about performance. It's about proximity. I never asked you to oppress me. I asked you to come close. I long to walk with you like I did in the beginning, not from a distance, but in daily closeness. But I will shout over what you're unwilling to turn down. You silenced me by prioritizing things that feed your flesh but starve your spirit. And now I'm calling you back to the table where you and I used to sit, where you poured out your real thoughts, where I poured in direction that kept your soul alive. Don't let guilt keep you away. I'm not asking for an apology tour. I'm asking for a conversation. Speak to me again. Even if it's messy. Even if it's full of questions. I would rather hear your broken honesty than endure the wall of silence built by spiritual neglect. Your life, yes, your very life, depends on this reconnection. There are attacks coming that can only be deflected by discernment, and discernment only comes from relationship. There are assignments waiting that require precision, not guesswork. You've asked me for open doors, but how will you recognize them if you don't recognize my voice anymore? You've pleaded for miracles, but how can I send them when you won't stay still long enough to receive the instructions? You keep trying to move forward, with half communication, and then wondering why things keep falling out of sync. You don't need more confirmations, you need communion. Let me speak to your spirit again. Not just through others. Not through what you scroll or hear secondhand. But face to face in the quiet where it's just me and you. Don't wait until things get worse. Don't wait until confusion consumes what's left of your peace. Come now. Break the silence. Lay down the fear that I'll be angry or disappointed. I already know what's been weighing you down, and I've been waiting not with judgment but with answers. Real answers. I miss you, child. And this distance is not what I designed. Come closer. Your safety, your future, and your identity all depend on it. And I am here, voice unwavering, arms wide open, ready to speak, if you'll only choose to listen again. That instant you put on the smile, gave the nod, said you were fine while everything inside you screamed otherwise. I saw it. Not as a weakness but as a breaking point. You thought no one noticed, that your silence protected others, that your strength was proven in your ability to stay composed. But I watched deeper. I saw the courage it took to carry pain and still try to move forward. I saw how much it cost you to hide the struggle, to act like your faith wasn't trembling, to keep functioning while your heart was fragmenting. That moment wasn't missed by me. It marked a shift in your spirit. You started building walls instead of bringing me your wounds. You turned your exhaustion into a performance, afraid that if you let even one emotion slip through, the whole dam would break. And child, I never asked you to live like that. I didn't design you to pretend. I created you to be known. You've mistaken survival for healing. You've believed that being strong meant being silent. But I've never measured your worth by your ability to suppress. I want your truth, not your polished version of it. I am not moved by masks. I am moved by honesty. And the reason I'm bringing that moment back into your awareness is not to shame you but to free you. Because you've built routines around avoidance. You've built patterns that protect your image but imprison your heart. That one moment where you decided it was easier to pretend than to deal, it opened the door for the enemy to whisper, "You're alone." And ever since, he's tried to isolate you with the lie that no one would understand, that no one would believe how much you've been hurting. But I believe you. I know. I saw. And I'm still here. You're not invisible to me. The decision you made, to push it all down and carry on, it wasn't unnoticed. It was the moment I began making a way to bring you back to honesty, to healing, to wholeness. You've gone so long managing the weight that you forgot what it feels like to be carried. But I came to carry it. Not just the public pain, but the private torment. Not just the obvious hurt, but the hidden grief that's lived behind your daily routine. I want to go there, into the places you've locked away, into the moments you replay in silence, but never speak aloud, into the feelings you've told yourself are too messy to deal with. Because that's where your freedom begins, not in pretending but in releasing. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need perfect words or perfect faith. You just need to open the door. Let me into that moment, the one where you made peace with the pain instead of fighting for your healing. I'm not afraid of your honesty. I welcome it. I already know the truth. I just need you to stop running from it. Because once you bring me your real heart, I can do what I've been longing to do, restore it. The weight of pretending is heavier than the truth you're afraid to face. And I promise you, when you hand me the burden of your silence, I'll replace it with peace that doesn't require performance. So come, not with a smile, not with a speech, but with your truth. I'm ready for the real you. The one who aches, who questions, who feels alone. That's the version I died for. That's the version I'm in love with. You don't need to hide anymore. Not from me. Not now. Not ever again. You've grown so used to functioning through the ache that it feels normal now. But it's not. This heaviness that clings to your chest, the constant pull of tiredness in your spirit, the moments where you can't even explain why you feel so low, it's all evidence that you've been carrying more than you were made to bear. And I see it, all of it. The strength you've mustered to keep going. The effort you've made to smile when inside, something's crumbling. But listen to me, child. I didn't come to punish your weakness. I came to meet you in it. You've been afraid to admit how bad it feels because you think confession equals failure. But that's not how I see it. You're not failing. You're fatigued. You're not lost. You're wounded. And I'm not here to add pressure to your pain. I'm here to lift you out of it. I know how much you've tried to convince yourself that things will get better if you just push harder, pretend longer, distract faster. But the deeper truth is this: your healing doesn't start with your effort. It starts with your surrender. I am not asking you to fix yourself. I'm not waiting for you to meet a standard before I step in. I've already stepped in. I'm already with you. I've been walking beside you in every silent breakdown, every moment where you felt numb but kept moving, every time you whispered help when no one was listening. I heard it. I always hear it. And I want you to know that I am not distant from your mess. I dwell in the places where most people step back. Where others see chaos, I see opportunity for deliverance. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too complicated. What you are is my child, and I don't abandon my own. You've been afraid that if you admitted you're not okay, everything would fall apart. But child, everything is already fragile, and it's not your job to hold it all together. That's why I'm here. To be your rescue, not your reward. To be your covering, not your critic. I'm not watching you with disappointment. I'm reaching for you with mercy. And I need you to hear this. Healing is not just for people who have it all figured out. It's for the ones who finally admit they can't keep going like this. You can stop pretending you're fine. You can let the walls come down. Because I'm not standing on the other side of your breakdown. I'm standing in the middle of it, ready to lift you up with hands that still carry the scars of what I did to redeem you. This is not the end of you. This is the turning point. I am not repelled by your reality, I am drawn to it. And even now, I'm wrapping my grace around what you thought you had to fix alone. You don't have to climb your way out of the pit. You just have to reach, and I'll do the rest. I'll lift you. I'll restore you. I'll breathe into the places that haven't felt alive in months. But you have to stop hiding your pain like it's your identity. It's not. It's a symptom, and I'm the cure. Let me love you through this. Let me rescue what shame told you was unlovable. Let me show you that being not okay is the very place where my power shows up the strongest. You don't have to qualify for my help, you just have to admit you need it. And the moment you do, you'll find I've been here all along, arms wide open, ready to pull you from the depths and set your feet back on unshakable ground. You thought hiding it would protect you. That if you shoved it deep enough, wrapped it in silence, and covered it with routine, it would somehow disappear. But child, what's hidden doesn't vanish, it festers. That grief you never gave language to, that betrayal you never truly processed, that guilt you've tried to outrun, they've all been taking up space inside of you, altering the atmosphere of your heart. And I see how it's affecting you. You've become heavy, not just physically, but spiritually, your reaction sharper, your patience thinner, your joy dimmer. This isn't just weariness from the outside. This is internal weight you've never let me lift. I know it feels safer to leave some things untouched, especially the memories that still sting, the wounds that never closed properly. But that safety is an illusion. You weren't made to carry pain like a secret. It's not your identity. It's a wound I'm ready to heal. But healing starts with honesty. You can't keep saying you're fine when your soul is suffocating under the pressure of what you refuse to feel. I'm not asking you to relive it. I'm asking you to release it. To stop pretending that your silence is strength. To stop acting like your avoidance is wisdom. It's not noble to hide what's hurting you. It's dangerous. Because what's left in the dark grows twisted, and soon it begins to leak into places you thought were untouched. That's why your peace feels scattered. That's why your clarity has faded. The toxins of unhealed pain don't stay contained. They bleed into relationships, decision-making, even your ability to hear my voice clearly. I never meant for your spirit to operate with contamination. I designed you to flow in purity, to carry freedom, to walk light. But you've been dragging invisible chains, and you've normalized the heaviness. I want to cleanse you, completely. Not partially. Not just enough to help you cope. I want to reach the layers you've stopped talking about. The memories you've buried so deeply even you've tried to forget. But I haven't forgotten, and not because I want to expose you, because I want to restore you. Your freedom is on the other side of that surrender. That moment when you let the tears fall. When you allow the dam to break. When you stop rehearsing strength and start confessing weakness. That's where I meet you, not in performance but in surrender. And I promise, child, what I touch I cleanse. What I touch I heal. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to keep bracing yourself for disappointment, or hiding from your own reflection. You are not unfixable. You are not beyond my reach. But you must stop bearing what I died to carry. Bring it to me. All of it. Not just the pieces you're comfortable sharing. Not just the surface-level stuff. I want the whole thing. I want your unspoken heartbreak, your unprocessed anger, your silent shame. I want it because it's hurting you, and I'm the only one who can take it without crushing you in return. Let me do heart surgery. Let me go deep. Let me flush out what's been clouding your spirit so I can fill you with what you've been missing. Peace that doesn't expire. Clarity that doesn't confuse. Joy that isn't dependent on performance. This isn't about punishment. This is purification. I'm not coming for revenge on your past. I'm coming to redeem it. But you have to let me in. not halfway, all the way, because partial surrender still leaves room for poison. And I love you too much to let you settle for a survival mode version of yourself. I see the real you. I see the healed you. And that's who I'm fighting for, right now, in this moment, as you read these words. Let me cleanse you, child. I won't harm what I touch. I'll only restore it. There's a distance now that you didn't intend to create. It wasn't a sudden decision, not a loud rebellion or a clear rejection. It happened slowly. A missed prayer here, a postponed moment in my word there, a heart too tired to worship, a soul too distracted to listen. And little by little, your connection to me began to thin, like a rope unraveling strand by strand. And yet, all the while, I stayed. I never pulled away. I never turned my face. But I watched as your heart began to lean into other things for comfort, for clarity, for control. Things that seemed harmless at first, a few habits, a few voices, a few compromises. But those small shifts have gradually carried you further than you'd ever imagined you'd go. And now, without realizing it, you've built a life that runs on your strength, your timing, your understanding, and it's exhausting you. You've replaced the intimacy we once had with substitutes that cannot hold the weight of your soul. And though you still believe in me, though you still say my name, there's a disconnect between us. You feel it. You know it. And it's not because I've grown silent. It's because you've moved out of range. You're operating at a distance, and you've convinced yourself that as long as you're functioning, you're fine. But functioning is not the same as thriving. Performance is not the same as presence. You've learned to survive without me being central, but I didn't call you to survive. I called you to abide. And now I'm bringing this to the surface, not with condemnation, but with compassion. Because drifting always feels easier than returning, until you realize what you've lost. You've lost the stillness, the clarity, the joy that comes from being close. And I want it back. I want you back. Not a version of you that performs out of duty, the real you. The one that used to sit in my presence without needing anything but me. The one that didn't feel ashamed to bring me your mess. The one who cried openly and believed I was listening. Come back to that place. Come back to the garden of fellowship where striving ends and peace begins. I never left you. I've been waiting on the same shore, watching you drift, whispering your name through the waves, ready to pull you in the moment you stop rowing on your own. You don't need to work your way back. You don't need to prove anything. Just turn. Just whisper. Just reach, and I'll close the distance in a heartbeat. That's all it takes. One honest moment. One surrendered cry. One turning of your face back toward mine. I know the shame tries to hold you. I know guilt has been your shadow. But neither of those came from me. I don't accuse, I invite. I don't shame, I restore. The drift stops here. If you want it to. You don't have to spiral further. You don't have to numb yourself just to keep moving. You don't have to pretend that the gap doesn't ache. I see it. And I miss you. You've been living with fragments of what I meant to give you in fullness. It's time to return. Not to religion. Not to routine. But to relationship. My arms have not closed. My grace has not run dry. I know how far you've wandered, but I also know how fast I'll run the moment you come home. You're still mine. You always have been. And I'm still here, not behind you, not ahead of you, right beside you, ready to walk with you again as if you never left. You opened your heart, thinking they would carry it with care, but instead, they left fingerprints of betrayal. You believed their presence meant protection, their words meant alignment, their promises meant stability. But what unfolded broke more than your trust. It shook the very foundation of your discernment. And while you've been questioning your ability to judge character, questioning whether you missed my signal, questioning if you're just too naive or too broken to see clearly, I need you to understand something deeper. They weren't allowed into your life to bless you. They were allowed to reveal you, to show you what still needed healing, what still longed for approval, what still depended on others for validation. This wasn't about their loyalty. This was about your growth. I didn't send them, but I allowed them, because tests don't always come in trials. Sometimes they come wrapped in charm, in opportunity, in temporary connection. And through this, I've been showing you the difference between what feels right and what is righteous, between what flatters and what strengthens, between those who serve your calling and those who serve their own. You've been grieving the disappointment, but I'm calling you to see the deliverance. They weren't your covering. They were a mirror. And what you saw wasn't always pretty, but it was necessary. You've learned to stop handing sacred parts of your heart to people who only show up when it benefits them. You've learned to stop silencing your discernment just to keep the peace. And yes, you hurt. Yes, it felt like abandonment. But it was exposure, and exposure is mercy when it happens before destruction. You were being trained, not punished, tested, not tormented. And while it felt like betrayal, it was a divine separation, cutting away what could not go with you into the next assignment. I'm not asking you to hate them. I'm asking you to release them. Not because they were right, but because you are free. You don't need to seek closure where I've already given clarity. You don't need another apology to move on. You need obedience to step forward. Let me deal with what they did. Let me handle the parts you don't understand. Your job isn't revenge. It's release. Because every time you rehearse the pain, you slow down your purpose. You weren't supposed to carry the betrayal. You were supposed to carry the wisdom. And now, you do. You're wiser, sober, stronger, a lot more suspicious, more spirit-led. The lesson wasn't meant to make you hard. It was meant to make you holy. So let the disappointment do its work, and then let it go. What's ahead requires discernment that won't be swayed by popularity or proximity. You needed this lesson now, so that what's coming will break you later. And as for your heart, I'm healing it. I'm touching the spots where you still feel foolish, where you still replay conversations wondering what you missed. I'm silencing the echo of I should have known better. Because now you do. You know better. And that knowledge is power, but more importantly, it's protection. I'm proud of you, not because you didn't get hurt, but because you didn't stay stuck. You moved. You learned. You rose. And now, with clear eyes and a guarded heart, you're stepping into a season where only those who carry my spirit can walk with you. And child, that's a blessing, not a loss. You remember the moment, don't you? A nudge in your spirit, the subtle tightening in your chest, the quiet warning that something wasn't right. That was me. I gave you clarity back then, even if you tried to label it as doubt. I spoke through your unease, through that one sentence you couldn't shake, through that delay that interrupted your plans. You did imagine it. I was speaking. But because the consequences didn't show up immediately, you tucked my words away, told yourself maybe it wasn't that serious. Maybe you overthought it. And now you're here, standing in the very situation I tried to spare you from. Not because I was trying to control you, but because I was trying to protect you. I wasn't trying to ruin your plans. I was trying to save your heart. But even now, I'm not showing you this to shame you. I'm showing you this because it's not too late to obey. I don't operate on human timelines. Just because the moment passed doesn't mean the instruction expired. My word is still standing. My guidance is still relevant. You don't need to wait for another sign. You already have it. What you need now is action. Delayed obedience has kept you in a cycle you were meant to step out of long ago. That thing you've been calling confusion. It's not confusion. It's disobedience trying to make itself comfortable. You've already heard what I said. You already know what needs to be released, where you need to go, what you need to confront, what you need to surrender. The hesitation has cost you clarity. The longer you pause, the harder it becomes to hear again. Not because I stop speaking, but because your heart becomes numb to the conviction. But child, I am stirring you again now because you haven't missed your moment. You've just delayed it. And I want to realign you before more gets entangled. There's a grace right now for immediate course correction. Here's a window open for you to step out in faith, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it looks risky. Trust me when I say this. Obedience always costs something, but it never costs more than disobedience. You won't lose anything that I've called you to give up that I can't replace with something eternal. But if you keep holding on to what I've called you to release, it will begin to rot in your hands. It will drain your energy. It will cloud your discernment. It will stunt your growth. Because I will not let you make an idol out of what I asked you to leave. You can't carry the blessing of the next season while clinging to the compromise of the last one. And you know this. You felt it. The dissonance. The tension. The way nothing flows the way it used to. That's not a coincidence. That's me resisting your resistance. But I'm not punishing you. I'm pulling you back to the safety of my will. You were never meant to figure this out by yourself. You were never expected to carry the burden of what if. You were simply called to trust what I said the first time. My instructions don't shift with circumstances. They stand. And they stand for your good. So let this be the moment you stop wrestling and start walking. I'll be with you in every step of realignment. I'll strengthen your resolve. I'll restore what was lost in delay. But I need you to move not based on comfort, not based on understanding, but based on obedience. You asked me to speak, and I did. Now walk in what you heard. It's not too late, child, but it's time. You've looked at the closed doors with frustration, sometimes even bitterness, wondering why things haven't moved the way you expected. You've questioned the timing, questioned your preparation, even questioned whether I was still guiding you. But what you didn't see is how many dangers I intercepted while you were focused on disappointment. You thought you were being overlooked, passed by, left behind, but child, I was shielding you from the harm you didn't even know was ahead. What you called a setback was actually a safeguard. The opportunity you mourned. It wasn't aligned with your calling. That connection you begged me to preserve. It would have compromised your purpose. I'm not just guiding you. I'm protecting you. And sometimes protection looks like pause. Sometimes my mercy wears the disguise of delay. Because I'd rather you sit in a season of waiting than run headfirst into ruin. You see, I'm not only answering your prayers, I'm answering the ones you didn't know how to pray. I heard your silent cries for peace, for direction, for help, and I responded, not with immediate open doors, but with divine prevention. I didn't delay you to punish you, I delayed you to preserve what I've planted in you. There are traps the enemy had prepared, people who looked like blessings but were wrapped in deceit, paths that seemed successful but led to destruction, ideas that appeared promising but would have drained your soul. I saw you all. I saw every consequence, every hidden motive, every entanglement, and I stepped in. Not to ruin your momentum, but to realign your mission. You've been so focused on the time you think you've lost, but I want you to know, I've been redeeming it the whole time. What you thought was wasted will become the very foundation of wisdom in your next assignment. The time you've spent in waiting wasn't void, it was preparation. I've been building endurance in you, stretching your faith, sharpening your discernment, because where I'm taking you, surface-level strength won't survive. You needed depth. You needed roots. You needed to learn to trust me when it didn't make sense, to obey me when the path felt unclear, to wait when every voice around you said go. And now, if you'll listen, you'll begin to see it. How I weaved protection into every delay. How I turned detours into directions. How I used even your unanswered questions to develop a deeper intimacy between us. I know you've cried over the waiting. I know you've grown tired of the not yet. But I am not cruel. I am careful. Careful with you. Careful with your calling. careful with what I've prepared. And when the time is right, my time, not the world's, nothing and no one will be able to stop the release of what I've reserved for you. You won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate it. You won't have to beg for it. It will come because it's ordained, and it will endure because it's pure. So breathe, child. Assail the frustration. Let go of the assumptions. Rest in this truth. You are not delayed. You are defended. You are not forgotten. You are guarded. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Trust me even in this. Trust that I've never taken my eyes off you. Trust that I know what's best, even when it comes dressed in disappointment. I will open the right doors, and when I do, you'll walk through them with peace, not panic. You'll step into what I've prepared, and you'll know it was worth every second of waiting. It wasn't meant to stay this long. That memory, that moment, that wound, you've held on to it like a badge, like a warning, like a scar that reminds you of what went wrong. And now it speaks louder than my promises. You revisit it when you lie awake. You carry it through your conversations. You filter new blessings through the lens of old heartbreak, expecting disappointment before joy even has a chance to breathe. What happened to you was real. I'm not minimizing it. I saw the betrayal, the injustice, the silence that followed when you needed comfort the most. I know the weight of it. I know how tightly it wrapped itself around your hope, how it whispered lies about your worth, how it built walls around your heart that even love struggles to climb. But child, I need you to see this. The pain you keep rehearsing has started to dictate your decisions. It's no longer just a memory. It's become a master. It decides how you trust, how you dream, how you believe. And I didn't call you to live under its rule. I didn't raise you to be bound to a version of yourself formed by trauma. You are not what happened to you. You are not the lie you agreed with in the dark. You are mine. And I came to break that chain. But you must stop feeding it. You must stop replaying it like it has the final say. Because every time you rehearse the pain, you reinforce the prison. Every time you speak defeat over your future because of your past, you place a crown on what should have been crushed. Let me rewrite the narrative. Let me speak louder than the echoes. I want to lift the weight of that moment, not just dull it. You settled for survival strategies that help you cope, but coping isn't the same as healing. You were made to be whole, to walk in freedom, not just avoidance, to breathe without bracing, to hope without fear of collapse. And I know that feels foreign after all this time. I know your mind has built pathways that automatically expect pain. But I can renew those thoughts. I can reset what trauma tried to program. But you have to let me in. You have to stop defending the pain as if it's a part of you. It's not. It's a visitor that stayed too long. And today, I'm evicting it, if you'll let me. You don't need to carry it another day. You don't need to prove anything to anyone by holding on. You're not weak for letting go, you're wise. You're not broken for needing help, you're human. And I am your healer. Let me place my hand on the parts of your story that still ache. Let me speak peace over the moments that still bleed. Let me restore the years that pain tried to devour. This is not about forgetting. This is about reclaiming. Reclaiming your joy. Reclaiming your identity. Reclaiming the future that grief tried to steal. I am not finished with you. I haven't even begun to show you the beauty I can bring from the ashes you thought were worthless. But to step into it, you must stop bowing to the memory that's been posing as truth. It's not truth. I am truth. And I say you are free. I say you are chosen. I say you are not what was done to you, you are what I've spoken over you. Walk in that. Lean into that. Let it become the anthem in your chest. You are not a slave to the pain. You are a child of redemption. And I'm here, right now, breaking the cycle, silencing the shame, and calling you forward. No longer chained to what tried to keep you behind. You've been brainstorming, researching, starting over, changing directions, convinced that the next strategy will finally fix what feels broken. You've gotten caught in cycles of planning and adjusting, always trying to perfect the next move, but never arriving at the peace you're chasing. What you don't see is that it's not a better plan you need, it's a deeper remembrance. I never asked you to figure everything out on your own. I didn't place you on this path so you could rewrite what I already wrote over your life. Somewhere along the way, you let pressure drown out my promise. You let doubt rewrite what I declared. You allowed temporary outcomes to redefine the eternal word I spoke. But child, I don't change my mind. I didn't stutter when I called you. I didn't miscalculate your capacity. I knew every flaw, every fear, every delay, and still, I chose you. Still, I gave you a promise that wasn't tied to your perfection, but to my faithfulness. And I need you to stop running to alternatives when what I gave you still stands. Stop abandoning the original vision just because the process got messy. I didn't show you the full picture so you could decide how to make it happen. I showed it so you would trust me when nothing around you looked like it. You keep saying, maybe that wasn't God, just because it didn't unfold the way you imagined. But your confusion doesn't cancel my confirmation. The problem isn't your purpose, it's your patience. And I'm not saying that to shame you, I'm saying it to restore you. You've been exhausting yourself trying to engineer what I designed to unfold through faith. You've been measuring progress by what you can see, forgetting that the most powerful moves often start in the unseen. I'm still working. I'm still building. I'm still aligning. But I need you to return to the foundation, the promise. The one I whispered when you were alone in your room, crying because you didn't feel qualified. The one that made your heart leap even though you didn't understand it. The one you felt in your bones, even if no one else saw it yet. That promise was real. And it still is. Don't let time make you trade what's divine for what's quick. Don't let delays convince you to settle. Don't let disappointment push you into detours that feel safer but rob you of destiny. You don't need a better idea. You need to rest in my word. You need to speak it again. Write it down again. Declare it again. Let it become louder in your mouth than the voices of fear and fatigue. I never intended for you to walk in circles. But every time you question what I already confirmed, you lose momentum. I want you focused, not frantic. Grounded, not grasping. Anchored, not anxious. And that starts with remembering. Not just what I said, but who I am. I am not the author of confusion. I am the God of completion. What I start, I finish. What I bless, I protect. What I promise, I fulfill. In my time, not yours. So today, I'm calling you back. Not to start over, but to restart your faith in what I've already spoken. Go back to the place where your spirit said yes. Go back to the dream you buried when life got loud. I'm breathing on it again. Not because it needs revival, but because you do. The promise hasn't changed. The only thing that needs to shift now is your posture. Come out of striving. Return to trust it. Come out of worry. Return to worship. I haven't forgotten what I said. And I haven't forgotten you. The promise still lives, and so do I. You've questioned your worth so many times that now, when I whisper destiny, your first response is doubt. You've looked at others walking in boldness and wondered why your own steps feel uncertain, unstable, silenced. But what you've mistaken for disqualification is actually a dormant fire I'm about to breathe on again. The calling never left. It's been buried and not broken. Fear has tried to convince you that you missed your chance, that you waited too long, that you made too many mistakes. But fear is a liar, and today I'm shutting it down. I'm reigniting what I placed inside you before you were ever formed in the womb. It was me who spoke purpose into your bones. It was me who declared a future over you that hell has been trying to silence ever since. That resistance you've been feeling, that heaviness that keeps showing up when you try to move forward, it's not a sign that you're unqualified. It's proof that you carry something the enemy is afraid of. He knows what I've placed in you. He knows the kind of damage you do to his kingdom if you fully believed what I've said. That's why he's attacked your confidence. That's why he's tried to fill your mind with insecurity. That's why he's surrounded you with voices that made you question whether you're enough. But child, you were never meant to be enough on your own. I am your sufficiency. I am your strength. I am your source. And when I call someone, I don't call them because they have it all together. I call them because I want to reveal my glory through them. So stop disqualifying yourself based on human standards. I don't operate within the limits of people's opinions. When I mark someone, that mark cannot be removed by fear, failure, or delay. And you are marked. Not just to exist, but to influence. Not just to survive, but to shine. You've been hiding, but I'm calling you out. You've been holding back, but I'm pushing you forward. You've been second-guessing, but I'm speaking again, loudly, clearly, unmistakably. The call is still active. The assignment is still alive. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to say yes again. To surrender the fear. To silence the excuses. To stop rehearsing your limitations and start declaring my promises. You're not behind. You're right on time for revival. You're not unworthy, you're chosen. And I'm not calling the version of you that you try to become for others. I'm calling the real you. The one I see when no one else is watching. The one who still hopes even after heartbreak. The one who still dreams even in silence. The one who still worships even through tears. That's who I'm lighting up again. I'm stirring the gifts you buried. I'm awakening the authority you abandoned. I'm reminding you that you weren't made for the background, you were created for divine impact. There are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are assignments waiting to be activated through your voice, your story, your presence. And no, you're not too late. No, it's not too hard. I've already gone before you. I've already cleared the path. You just need to step. Not in your strength, but in mine. Not with certainty about the future, but with confidence in the one who holds it. I'm reigniting the call today, not as an option, but as a declaration. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are anointed. And nothing, not fear, not failure, not delay, can cancel what I have begun in you. Let the flame rise again, child. This is your moment to burn bright. The voices have been loud, haven't they? The ones that echo in the back of your mind, telling you you've messed up too many times, waited too long, drifted too far, failed too deeply to ever step into anything sacred again. But those voices are not mine. I do not speak in accusation. I speak in invitation. And I am not looking for the most polished, I'm looking for the most surrendered. You think your wounds disqualify you, but I see them as the very spaces where my glory can pour through. You think your past cancels your future, but I already factored it in before I even called your name. You haven't disqualified yourself. You've just forgotten who the author of your story is. I am the one who writes redemption into every page. You are not a mistake. You are not a second-best version of who you were supposed to be. You are mine, fully seen, fully known, and still fully chosen. Stop measuring your worth by what you've lost. Stop comparing your journey to those who appear farther ahead. What I've placed in you is not diminished by your detours. It's deepened. Your scars are not signs of failure. They are testimonies of survival. You made it through storms that should have destroyed you, and I'm not wasting any of it. I use the broken to display my beauty. I use the weak to demonstrate my strength. I use the least expected to accomplish the most eternal. And you, right now, in all your mess and questions, are still my vessel. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for your yes. I can work with surrendered weakness more than I can with hardened pride. You've spent so much time trying to fix what I already forgave. You've tried to disqualify yourself based on standards I never placed on you. But I'm reminding you now. You're not behind. You're being rebuilt. You're not forgotten. You're being refined. And I don't call the worthy. I make those I call worthy through my grace. You haven't missed it. You're not late to your calling. You're not too damaged to be used. You are the one I've had in mind all along. Your personality, your journey, your voice, your story, all of it is part of what I'm going to use. Don't let shame dictate what I've already covered. Don't let insecurity silence what I've anointed. I chose you knowing exactly what you would walk through. I chose you with full knowledge of your battles. And I still choose you now. This is the moment to rise, not because you feel ready, but because I've said it's time. You may not feel qualified, but I am your qualification. You may not feel strong, but I am your strength. You may not feel worthy, but I clothed you in righteousness. Let me silence the lies once and for all. Let me speak louder than the condemnation. Let me rewrite the narrative that says you're too far gone. You're not. You're here. And if you're still breathing, that means I'm not done with you. Not even close. The fact that you're reading this is evidence that my hand is still on your life. So come out of hiding. Come out of self-doubt. Come out of the guilt that's been chaining your confidence. You are my chosen, not because of what you've done, but because of who I am in you. And what I begin, I always finish. Their labels were loud. Your opinions felt final. They size you up through the lens of their own pain, their own limitations, their own misunderstandings. They called you names rooted in their perception, not in my purpose. And you started to believe them, didn't you? Maybe not all at once, but over time, piece by piece, you started wearing the identities they gave you like garments you didn't choose but couldn't seem to take off. Words like too much, not enough, failure, problem, disappointment. Words that weighed more than they should have, because they were spoken at vulnerable moments, moments when your soul was wide open, moments when you were already questioning who you were. But child, I need you to hear me now. I never authorized those definitions. I never approved those labels. I never carved those names into your spirit. My word over you was written long before theirs were ever spoken. And what I declare cannot be undone by their doubt. I saw you before the world had a say. I knew you before your past had a voice. And I named you according to your destiny, not your damage. My words are not reactive. They are redemptive. And they are still standing. Even now, after all the misjudgments, after all the betrayal, after all the moments where people misunderstood your heart, my word is still intact. You are not the rejected one. You are the restored one. You are not the forgotten one. You are the favored one. You are not what they saw when they looked through their broken lens. You are what I created with eternal intention. And no earthly rejection can override my divine election. You've spent too much time trying to prove them wrong, trying to erase their memory from your identity, trying to silence the echo of what they said. But you don't have to fight to be seen anymore. I've already seen you, and I've written something about you that no one else can erase. My word is sealed. My covenant is a Hagen. I wrote chosen over you. I wrote beloved over you. I wrote redeemed, anointed, set apart. And I didn't write those words in pencil. I carved them with blood. My truth over you was sealed with the cross, and that ink doesn't smudge. I know it's hard to forget what they said, especially when their voices came from people you trusted. But I'm not asking you to pretend it didn't hurt. I'm asking you to let me heal what they touched. I'm asking you to trade their narrative for my truth. I'm not in agreement with their rejection. I'm not echoing their criticism. I'm speaking life, and I'm speaking it louder than ever before. Come back to what I said. Not just in passing, in promise. Not just in comfort, in calling. My words don't fade with time. My declarations don't expire. You may have forgotten what I said about you in the beginning, but I haven't. I haven't moved on to someone more put together. I haven't replaced you. I'm still calling you by the name I gave you, even if no one else does. So let their words fall off. Let their rejection slide off your shoulders. Let their misunderstanding be silenced in the light of my knowing. I know you, fully. And I still say you're mine. I still say you're meant for more. I still say the best is ahead. Let that be the voice that defines you. Not them. Not the past. Not the shame. Me. Let my word be your mirror, and watch the false identities fall to the floor one by one. I never needed their approval to fulfill my promise in you. And I still don't. You've exhausted yourself trying to meet expectations I never placed on you. You've measured your worth by how well you perform, how much you accomplish, how perfectly you avoid mistakes. But I never asked you to be flawless. I asked you to be faithful. I didn't form you in your mother's womb with pressure in my hands. I shaped you with purpose. And purpose was never about impressing me. It was always about trusting me. Somewhere along the way, you confused obedience with performance. You began thinking I only move when you get it all right. That I only bless when you meet every mark. That my presence only stays when you're strong, composed, and emotionally stable. But that's not my heart. That's not my way. I never demanded your perfection. I offered you my own. You're trying to earn what I already gave. You're trying to deserve what I poured out freely. And all the while, your soul is growing weary, not because I've placed too much on you, but because you've picked up a weight I never handed you. You're striving for approval in a relationship that was founded on grace. You're trying to fix what I called you to lay down. And I'm watching you, not with disappointment but with compassion. I see the effort. I see the striving. I see how hard you've tried to be good enough. But child, good enough was never the goal. Surrender was. You keep bringing me your strength when what I've asked for is your weakness. You keep offering your effort when what I want is your trust. Stop trying to polish your worship. Stop trying to filter your prayers. I want the real you. The messy, tired, confused, imperfect you. Because that's the version I bled for. That's the version I'm in love with. I'm not afraid of your imperfection. I'm not waiting for you to figure it all out. I'm simply waiting for your yes. Your real, surrendered, unedited yes. You don't need to perform for me. You need to collapse into me. Let me hold the pieces you've been trying to juggle. Let me steady what you can't seem to fix. You're not behind. You're not a disappointment. You're not too broken to be used. You're exactly where I want to meet you, in the middle of your unraveling. This is where my grace flows. This is where the pressure lifts. This is where striving ends and true intimacy begins. I'm not impressed by your perfect behavior. I'm moved by your honest surrender. Come to me with the unfinished parts. Come to me with the things you're still struggling to let go of. I already know. I've already seen. And I still call you mine. I didn't come for a spotless version of you. I came for your heart. All of it. The parts that feel strong. The parts that feel small. The parts that don't make sense. The parts you haven't told anyone else about. That's what I'm asking for. Not a show, with surrender. I'm not withholding blessings until you improve. I'm inviting you into a flow of peace that only comes when you lay everything down. It's not about getting it right. It's about giving it all. And when you do, when you finally let go of the performance, you'll find what your soul has been craving all along: rest. Not earned. Received. Not forced. Freely given. You've been carrying the pressure of being perfect, but I'm releasing you into the freedom of being loved just as you are. You don't have to be amazing. You just have to be mine. And you are. Completely. You've stared at the closed door for so long it started to look permanent. You've watched others move forward, watched dreams unfold around you, and wondered why your prayers seemed to echo without answers. You've questioned your timing, questioned my presence, questioned whether you did something wrong. But child, The delay is not punishment. It's preparation. You see the surface. I see the roots. And right now, I'm going deeper, not slower. I'm not withholding your breakthrough. I'm fortifying what needs to be able to stand once it arrives. Because I don't just want to bless you with something that excites you momentarily. I want to entrust you with something that won't crumble under pressure. And that takes time. You've asked for overflow, for influence, for impact. But I must anchor your character before I elevate your calling. You're being shaped for longevity, not applause. What I'm building in you is meant to last through storms, through criticism, through seasons that feel empty. That's why it's taken longer than you expected. I'm not just setting the stage. I'm strengthening the structure. Every time you thought I was silent, I was digging deeper. Every time you thought I had forgotten, I was laying another layer of endurance. I've been doing hard work that doesn't always show on the outside but is absolutely essential to your next level. I know it feels hidden. I know you're tired of waiting. But don't mistake silence for absence. Don't mistake delay for denial. If I said it, I will do it. But it will be on a foundation that's stable enough to carry the weight. You want doors to open. I want you to be able to walk through them and remain standing when the pressure comes. This is why the waiting has felt so intense. Because I'm not just giving you something. I'm preparing you to handle it. There are habits that had to break. There were old wounds that had to be healed. There were perspectives that had to shift. You couldn't carry new glory in old wineskins. You couldn't sustain a new season with an unprepared heart. And I love you too much to give you something prematurely. I'm not being cruel. I'm being careful. The blessing that's coming is weighty, and you must be anchored to receive it without losing yourself. You prayed for something real, not just temporary relief, but true transformation. And that's what I'm giving you. But the process can't be skipped. The foundation can be right. You may not feel it, but the ground beneath your spirit is becoming stronger. I'm teaching you to depend, not just desire. To endure, not just expect. To trust, not just thought. And that's what will make the breakthrough unshakable when it comes. You're not being left behind. You're being held back for greater impact. What I release in your life will come at the exact moment it's meant to. No suitor. No layer. And when it comes, it will not be fragile. It will not be fleeting. It will be the fulfillment of everything I promised, because the foundation was set in faithfulness. Don't despise the depth I'm building in you. Don't wish away the roots. The fruit will come. But first, the root must hold. So let me finish what I've started underneath. Trust me in the unseen. The breakthrough hasn't been denied. It's just being built to last. I remember the exact moment your chest heaved with pain you couldn't put into words. When you turned your face away from others just to hold yourself together. When the room was silent, but your soul screamed. When you smiled on the outside because no one around you would have known how to respond if they saw what was really happening inside. And I was there. Not distant. Not unaware. Not indifferent. I watched the tears fall. Not one of them wasted. Not one of them missed. You've been convinced that those hidden moments didn't matter, that your cries fell into the darkness unheard, unrecorded. But I caught each one. I held them like treasures. I wrapped my presence around you, even when you couldn't feel me. And now I speak because I want you to know, your pain has not been invisible. I heard every unspoken prayer, every sigh, every groan too deep for words. I was with you in the silence, in the corner of that room, in the stillness of that night, in the rawest places where no one else dared to look. That tear-stained pillow. Sacred ground to me. That moment you whispered, God, are you even here? I answered, even when you couldn't perceive it. You were not abandoned in that grief. I was closer than your breath. I wasn't just watching from afar. I was cradling your heart in my hands. You may not have realized it, but I was catching what the world overlooked. Your sorrow was holy to me, not because it pleased me, but because it drew you close, because it opened a door for me to hold you in the most intimate way. You've been walking around with this ache, trying to be strong, trying to hold it in, but I never asked you to carry that weight by yourself. I didn't create you to break in isolation. I created you to lean into me, to cry where it's safe, to weep without shame. You are not weak because you've been broken. You are human. And I honor your tears not as signs of failure, but as evidence that your heart is still tender, that your spirit still longs for me, that you haven't given up, not truly. I want you to know something else. Those tears have watered seeds you didn't know you were planting. In your brokenness, faith was still forming. In your despair, something eternal was taking root. And now, I'm beginning to move in response. I'm bringing comfort not as a concept, but as a person, as me. I'm stepping into that grief to transform me. I'm taking the weight of what you thought you had to survive alone and replacing it with my rest. The tears you thought were signs of defeat, they were prayers. They were warfare. They were surrender. And I responded. Not always in the ways you expected, but in the ways that preserve your heart, strengthen your spirit, and prepare you for what's next. Don't think for a moment that your private battles are irrelevant. I shape warriors in the dark. I raise leaders in the hidden place. I build endurance in the moments when no one else is watching. And soon, what hath been sown in weeping will be reaped in joy. That's not just a promise. It's your portion. I'm wiping the tears not just to bring relief, but to make room for the joy that's been held back until now. So cry if you need to. I'm still catching every drop. But know that the season is shifting. The time is coming where you will look back on this pain and see it was not the end. It was the beginning. Your tears have spoken volumes in heaven, and now I respond, not with silence, but with restoration. You think I'm angry with you because you've wrestled with doubt, because you've cried in frustration, because you've dared to wonder if I really meant what I said. But I'm not sitting on a throne of condemnation. I'm kneeling beside you in compassion. I haven't turned my face away from your struggle. I've turned my heart toward it. Not because I'm disappointed, but because I know how hard it is to hold on to a promise that feels like it's taken too long to arrive. I see the moments when hope felt too heavy. When you whispered to yourself, maybe I misunderstood. When you started questioning whether the promise was ever really for you. I know the pressure of watching others move into what looks like fulfillment while you're still standing in what feels like silence. I know how much it hurt when you gave your all and nothing seemed to move. I'm not upset that you felt weary. I just want to remind you that your delay isn't denial. And it breaks my heart to see you let go of what I never asked you to release. Not because I need you to prove your faith, but because I've seen what's coming. I know the glory on the other side of this waiting. I know the beauty I've woven into the very delay you've been trying to escape. But when you stopped believing in my timing, you didn't just grow tired. You grew disconnected from the rhythm of my spirit. And that's what grieves me. Not your emotion, your isolation. You started moving by reaction instead of revelation. Planning out of panic. Speaking from fear. Making decisions based on what's visible instead of what's eternal. But I haven't changed my mind. I haven't revised the timing. I haven't withdrawn what I promised. What you call a missed moment, I call a maturing one. What you label as late, I define as perfectly prepared. My schedule isn't bound by clocks or calendars. I move with precision, not pressure. And everything I'm doing in you right now is still on time. You think it's over, but it hasn't even begun. I allowed the delay not to punish you, but to protect the promise. There were things in you that needed to be refined. There were relationships that had to be removed. There were depths of trust I wanted to build that could only be forged in the fire of waiting. And I've been with you through all of it, even when you couldn't feel me. Even when your faith felt like it was fading. I was still there, holding every piece of your breaking heart, whispering truth over your weariness, guarding your steps even as your knees began to buckle. I want you to know this. I'm still for you. I'm still with you. I'm still moving. And I'm still going to do what I said. Not because you've earned it, but because I'm faithful. Because I finish what I start. Because I'm not intimidated by your delay or discouraged by your doubt. I just want your heart back. Not your perfection. Not your performance. Your heart. The part of you that used to believe without needing proof. The part that used to dream without knowing how it would happen. The part that trusted me enough to say, even if it takes longer, I'll still wait on you. That's what I'm calling back. Not in anger, in love. Because I don't want you to miss what's coming. I don't want you to forfeit what's been prepared because of what feels delayed. I need you to trust me again, not because it's easy but because I'm worthy of it. My timing isn't broken. It's building you. And I'm still writing the story. So don't close the book just yet. You've cried over what didn't work out. You've mourned the unanswered prayers, the missed opportunities, the relationships that slipped through your fingers, believing they were meant to be yours. You've questioned me, wondering why I let certain paths disappear just when they seemed promising. But child, if your eyes could see what I saw behind those doors, the traps, the spiritual entanglements, the subtle compromises that would have unraveled your calling, your heart would shift from disappointment to praise. I wasn't being cruel. I wasn't ignoring your desires. I was intervening. You see a delay. I see a detour around destruction. You saw an open door, but I saw what waited on the other side. The distraction that would have dulled your discernment, the comfort that would have cost your conviction, the connection that looked like alignment but carried corrosion. And so I stepped in. Quietly. Without applause. Without explanation. I let the door close because I love you too deeply to let you settle for less than what's holy. You keep looking at the door asking why. But the better question is, what are you saving me from? Because I've been shielding you from what your prayers didn't anticipate. The hidden consequences of premature access. Some doors look good, but they are traps dressed in opportunity. Some yesies look harmless, but they carry the seeds of compromise. And while you wept over what didn't happen, heaven was celebrating what was avoided. I've never withheld anything good from you. But I will block anything that threatens what I've planted in you. I'm not interested in temporary applause for you. I'm building a legacy of purpose through you. And purpose doesn't chase every open door. It waits for the right one. The one that doesn't just fit your preferences but fits your destiny. You've got to trust that my no is always a greater yes in disguise. Not because I'm denying you joy, but because I'm protecting your assignment. That person you thought was your forever. I saw their hidden motives. That job you were sure was a breakthrough. I saw how it would slowly kill your passion. That opportunity you begged me for. I saw how it would have diluted your voice and robbed your focus. You don't need more doors to open. You need me to continue being the one who filters what's truly for you. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Every closed door was a shield. Every detour was mercy. Every not yet was protection for what's truly next. And one day you'll see it clearly. One day you'll look back and say, that closed door was one of the greatest gifts God ever gave me. But you don't have to wait until then to start thanking me. Start now. Praise me not just for what I've done, but for what I've prevented. For the tears I spared you from crying. For the battles I fought that you never knew were coming. For the relationships I removed before they could wreck you. For the habits I disrupted before they became chains. You don't see the full picture yet, but I do. And I've been working behind the scenes, writing a story that's greater than anything that fell apart. So shift your focus. Don't stare at what I closed, stand in awe of what I'm preparing. What's ahead will make sense of every painful pause, every unanswered cry, every door that refused to open. And when it comes, you'll realize my protection was never rejection. It was always love. You've pulled back in seasons of doubt, stepped away when things felt too heavy, Let your grip slip when pain made it hard to hold on. But through it all, I've never loosened my hold on you. You've changed your pace, changed your plans, questioned everything you thought you believed, and yet I have kept you, not because of how tightly you held me, but because of how securely I sealed you in my hand. I didn't write your name in ink. I carved it into my palm. Permanently. Intentionally. Lovingly. Not with hesitation, but with covenant. You may feel forgotten. You may believe you've drifted too far. But I have kept your name close to my heart, even in the moments you couldn't speak mine. You think I'm distant because you've wandered. You assume I've let go because you've let me down. But my grip is not based on your consistency. It's rooted in my nature. And I don't let go. Not when you're broken. Not when you're confused. Not when you're afraid. I hold tight when you unravel. I hold still when you panic. I hold close when you hide. That scarred hand that bears your name doesn't flinch when you struggle. It doesn't tremble when you doubt. It stays, firm, steady, unyielding, because I don't mark what I plan to abandon. I mark what I've claimed as mine. You have no idea how many times I've intervened on your behalf when you were unaware. How many times I surrounded you with grace when you weren't looking for it. How many moments your name rose from my lips in intercession while you were slipping into silence. That's who I am, the one who holds you even when your strength is gone. You thought I failed him. But child, I never left you in the first place. I've seen every moment you wanted to quit. Every time you believed you weren't enough. Every time you wondered if I regretted choosing you. And each time, I've whispered the same thing. I'm still here. I'm still holding you. And I still see the greatness I placed inside of you before the foundations of the world were laid. You don't have to earn that grip, you just have to rest in it. You don't have to fight for your place. I already secured it. I didn't choose you because you would never struggle. I chose you knowing you would, and I chose you anyway. I chose you because you are part of my story, not just a spectator of it. You are not replaceable. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are engraved. Carved. Etched into the hand that stretched wide on the cross for you. So stop trying to claw your way back into something you never left. You may have let go in moments of fear, but I never did. You may have wandered, but I stayed. And today, I remind you not just of your identity, but of your security. You are safe in me. Not because you feel it, but because I declared it. Not because you always get it right, but because I always remain faithful. My hold on you is not temporary. It's not conditional. It's eternal. And it's not just a grip. It's a covenant. So rest, child. Let the truth of my grip calm your anxiety. Let the reality of my presence still your racing thoughts. I haven't let go, not even once. And I never will. You've worn it like a second skin. This invisible cloak that clings to your thoughts, wraps itself around your decisions, and lingers in the back of your mind even when you try to walk freely. Shame has whispered lies into your identity, making you believe you're only as valuable as your most public mistake or your most private failure. It's weighed you down, making you over-explain, overthink, overcompensate. Not because you don't love me, but because you haven't fully believed I could still love you after what happened. But child, I saw it all. I saw the fall. I saw the joys. I saw the moment your heart broke from the weight of what you'd done or what had been done to you. And even then, I never flinched. I didn't pull away. I didn't redraw the boundaries of my love. I didn't reconsider my plans for you. Instead, I ran toward you, not with judgment, but with blood. Not with accusation, but with mercy. The shame you carry. I took it on myself. I bore it. I endured it. I absorbed the sting and the sentence so you wouldn't have to keep reliving it. That guilt that plays like a loop in your mind, telling you that you'll never be clean, never be enough, never be trusted again. It's a lie. Because the truth is this: I don't do partial forgiveness. I don't leave stains behind. I what? I restore. I make new. You've been trying to earn a freedom I already purchased. Trying to prove you're worthy of another chance when I already declared you righteous through my sacrifice. That moment on the cross wasn't symbolic, it was specific. It was for every time you'd look in the mirror and see your past more clearly than your promise. It was for every tear you'd cry thinking you ruined your story. It was for every voice, internal and external, that told you you've gone too far. Shame has a language, but so does erase. And today, I want grace to be louder. You don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to pretend it didn't happen. You don't have to carry that burden into your relationships, your calling, your future. I didn't forgive you so you could stay quiet. I forgave you so you could live loud. So you could walk unashamed. So you could stand in the authority of someone who has truly been redeemed. I didn't remove your past to erase you. I did it to reveal who you really are. Not the mistake. Not the moment. Not the mess. But the masterpiece beneath it. Shame was never your inheritance. Freedom is. And you don't step into freedom by performing. You step into it by believing me when I say, it is finished. Yes, even that. Yes, even now. Yes, even after the damage. I'm not disgusted by your weakness. I'm drawn to it. Because when you bring me the ugliest parts, I bring out the most glorious redemption. So take off the cloak, child. The way. The label. The lie. Walk forward not with your head down, but with your heart lifted, not because of what you've done, but because of what I've done for you. The shame is no longer yours to carry. I carried it to the grave. And I didn't leave it there. I left it defeated. And you walked out with me. Not condemned. Cleansed. Not disqualified. We commission. You are not what you did. You are who I've declared you to be. Forgiven, chosen, loved without limit. Let that be the voice you follow now. Shame had its say, but grace has the final word. There are things you've believed for so long that they've started to sound like truth, thoughts that run through your mind like facts, emotions that feel like identity, patterns that look like your personality, but are actually chains dressed up as habits. The enemy didn't come at you all at once. He was subtle. He came through moments of pain, of rejection, of confusion, and quietly dropped seeds into your spirit. You're not enough. You always mess it up. You're too much for people. You don't deserve healing. And slowly, without realizing it, you started building your life around those lies. You've made decisions from them. You formed relationships through them. You set limitations based on them. But I never agreed with any of it. I never spoke those things over you. I never labeled you with shame or failure or unworthiness. And now, I'm shining my light on every root that's been hiding in the soil of your soul, because it's time. No more living under the influence of falsehoods that wear the mask of your own inner voice. No more letting the enemy speak louder than my spirit. No more letting broken memories define what I've already healed. You don't need to keep carrying what came from darkness. You don't need to keep echoing what I've already silenced. I'm not just calling you into freedom, I'm calling you into truth. The kind that cuts deep. The kind that breaks generational chains. The kind that dismantles lies from childhood, trauma, and silence. I am peeling back the layers, not to shame you, but to free you. I'm confronting the agreements you've made with fear, with rejection, with worthlessness, because they don't belong to you. They never did. I am the only one who defines you, and I call you redeemed. I call you worthy. I call you mine. Every false identity must fall now. Every whisper of condemnation must bow. Every echo of the past must be confronted by the reality of my word. And I won't just rip the lies out. I will replace them. I'll rewire your thoughts with peace. I'll cover your insecurities with love. I'll restore your confidence with clarity. But you have to let me expose what's been hidden. You have to stop defending the lies just because they are familiar. You have to stop saying, "That's just how I am," when I've called you to be made new. I'm not looking for you to be perfect in this process. I'm looking for your permission. Invite me into the deepest layers. Let me walk into the spaces you've kept shut, even from yourself. I'll go there, not to destroy but to deliver. You've been bound by invisible chains for too long, and the time has come to break them. You're not going to walk in confusion anymore. You're not going to live reacting to pain that was never dealt with. I'm breaking the cycle. I'm tearing down the fortress of lies brick by brick, and in its place, I'm building a temple of truth. Truth that says you are not forgotten. Truth that declares you are full of purpose. Truth that reminds you your future isn't tied to the version of you that believed the enemy's voice more than mine. Today begins the exposure, and exposure is not punishment, is mercy. Because you can't heal what you refuse to uncover. You can't be whole while living fractured by deception. But I am here now, child. The light has come. The lies are losing their grip. And what I will build in you, through the truth, will never be shaken again. You've spent so much energy managing your emotions, correcting your behavior, repairing your image, and holding yourself together that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply be held. You've been your own counselor, your own motivator, your own physician, thinking that if you could just tweak this part of you, just silence that weakness, just suppress that fear, then finally you'd be whole. But child, I never asked you to fix yourself. That burden was never meant to sit on your shoulders. Healing isn't something you achieve. It's something you receive. You've been carrying your own brokenness like it's a project to complete, believing that once you reach a certain level of progress, I'll finally approve. But I never based my love on your progress. I never measured your value by how well you perform healing rituals or spiritual routines. I simply want your honesty. I simply want you to stop trying to repair wounds with willpower and let me touch the places that ache. You've been picking at scabs instead of placing your pain in my hands. You've been diagnosing yourself with guilt, failure, and unworthiness while I'm offering you freedom, forgiveness, and restoration. Every time you try to be your own savior, you end up disappointed, not because you're failing, but because you're taking on a role that was never yours to fill. I am the healer. I am the one who binds up the broken-hearted. I'm not expecting you to understand every part of your trauma or make sense of every internal storm. I'm simply asking you to bring it to me, raw, unfiltered, incomplete. You don't need to analyze your pain into categories before I can address it. Just open your hands and let it fall into mine. The pressure you feel to always be okay, to always bounce back, to always be strong. It's exhausting you. And it's not coming from me. I didn't call you to manage your wounds. I called you to surrender them. The longer you try to control the healing, the longer it delays, because true restoration begins where striving ends. You say, "I just want to be fixed." I say, "I want you to be whole." And wholeness is deeper than function. Wholeness is peace, identity, stability, things you can't self-reduce. That's why your best efforts still leave you feeling empty. That's why even after moments of growth, you still feel haunted by the same undercurrent of pain. Because healing isn't about controlling the symptoms. It's about letting me uproot the source. And I don't do surface-level work. I go to the root. I go to the buried places. I go to the layers you've forgotten existed, and I bring life where you've only known numbness. But only if you stop trying to be your own solution. You weren't made to do this alone. You weren't created to carry this silently. My shoulders are stronger. My hands are steadier. My touch doesn't shame you, it restores you. And I'm not afraid of what you're carrying. I'm not overwhelmed by what you're battling. I'm not disappointed by your delay. I'm simply waiting for you to stop patching the wound and let me perform the surgery. I will not harm you. I will not expose you to hurt you. I will lead you gently, and I will not stop until the healing is complete. But it must start here, where you stop fixing and start surrendering. Let me take it now. Let me speak into what you silenced. Let me be what you've tried to become. Healing is not your responsibility, it's your inheritance. And I'm offering it freely, completely, perfectly, if you'll just let me be the one to do it. It feels like everything around you is moving fast, doors closing, people advancing, seasons shifting, and you've started to wonder if you've missed your chance. If maybe you hesitated too long, if maybe your mistakes cost you the moment. But child, you are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten in the timeline of destiny. You are right where I need you to be for what I'm about to do. You've been staring at the clock, panicking at the passing of hours, comparing your progress to the pace of others. But I don't work by human clocks. I am not limited by what the world calls too late. I am the author of time, and I've been writing your story with precision that goes deeper than your understanding. You've mistaken waiting for wasting. You've assumed silence means stagnation. But I've been building something beneath the surface, something eternal, something strategic. What feels like delay is actually a divine setup. Because I'm not just preparing the promise for you, I've been preparing you for the promise. And I refuse to let you step into something prematurely and crumble under the weight of it. You're not running out of time. You're approaching the fullness of it. Every lesson, every no, every heartbreak, every redirection, they've all been weaving together to form a path you couldn't predict but will soon be glad you trusted. I don't rush masterpieces. I don't expedite glory. I unfold my plans at the pace of purpose. You've been running in circles trying to catch up to an invisible deadline that doesn't exist in my kingdom. You've placed pressure on yourself to be somewhere by now, to have something by now, to become someone by now, but those metrics are not mine. I measure by obedience, not by speed. I measure by surrender, not by accomplishments. And what I've been developing in you during this waiting season is worth every second. I've been teaching you how to walk by faith when the way is unclear. I've been refining your discernment so you won't chase every opportunity that sparkles. I've been anchoring your identity so that when I launch you forward, no crowd and no criticism will be able to shake what you know about who you are in me. You haven't lost time, you've been gaining depth. You haven't missed out, you've been maturing. And now, you are about to collide with the timing of heaven. Not because you earned it, not because you finally figured it out, but because I've declared this is your season to step into what I've hidden for the appointed hour. You don't need to force the door open. It's opening because it's time. You don't need to beg for the opportunity. It's finding you because it was destined to. Stop looking at the calendar. Stop replaying the timelines. Stop comparing yourself to their journey. You are not late. You are in divine alignment. And everything that looked like a pause was actually a preparation. I know it felt slow. I know it felt endless. But what's coming will make the wait worth it. You are not behind schedule. You are on a sacred path that's been marked by my hand. And the moment that's been ordained is not slipping away. You are walking right into it. Every step you take in obedience is bringing you closer to the promise that's already settled in heaven. So breathe, child. Lift your head. Shake off the panic. Time isn't your enemy. It's my servant. And it's ushering you into everything I said would be. I have not forgotten. I have not delayed in vain. The fullness of time is approaching, and you're not running out. You're stepping in. You've wondered why it felt like no one saw you, why your gifts stayed unnoticed, why your efforts were overlooked, why every time you stepped forward, something seemed to hold you back from being fully seen. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. You weren't punishment, it was precision. I've kept you in the shadows, not because you weren't ready to be used, but because I was still shaping what I placed inside of you. You thought the silence meant I had passed you over. But child, I was preserving you from exposure that would have demanded a version of you that hadn't yet been formed. You saw invisibility as a curse, but I was using it as a covering. I wasn't hiding you from the world out of fear. I was hiding you for the right moment, for the appointed season, for the reveal that could only come when you were fully aligned with the weight of your calling. There's a difference between being ready in your desire and being ready in your spirit. I had to grow your roots before I let you bear fruit. I had to teach you how to hold peace when no one was clapping. I had to strengthen your voice when no one was listening. I had to deepen your identity in me so that when the door opened, the crowd wouldn't define you. You weren't being delayed. You were being developed. Because I don't release just anyone into visibility. I release those who have learned to be faithful in the unseen. And you've been faithful, through the quiet seasons, through the lonely nights, through the seasons where affirmation never came. I saw every act of obedience that no one celebrated. I watched you pray behind closed doors. I heard your worship when it felt like no one else was listening. I collected every unseen sacrifice, and now I am bringing it all to light. Not for your glory, not to inflate your pride, but because the world needs what I've placed in you, and the time has finally come. I'm about to pull back the curtain on what I've been crafting in secret. I'm about to display the fire I forged in private battles, the wisdom I planted through trial, the authority I birthed through pressure. You thought your story was small, but I wrote it for impact. You assumed you'd always be behind the scenes, but I've been planning your unveiling. And when I reveal you, it won't be with fanfare, but with fire. Not to entertain, but to shift atmospheres. Not to impress, but to destroy yokes. I'm not raising you for attention. I'm raising you for assignment. And when people ask where you came from, they'll realize it wasn't sudden. It was sacred. It was slow. It was sovereign. Don't despise the hiding anymore. Don't regret the years where it seemed like nothing was happening. Those were the years I built foundation, backbone, discernment. I protected your heart from premature applause because praise too early can poison the purity of your purpose. But now I trust you. Not because you're perfect, but because you've been purified. You didn't quit when it was quiet. You didn't abandon me when it was painful. And now I'm lifting you. Not as a reward, but as a release. The hidden season has done its work. And what I reveal now, no man can reverse. You're not stepping onto a stage, you're stepping into a mantle. A weight of glory that can only be carried by the surrendered. This is not about spotlight, it's about stewardship. And you are ready. What you've been feeling isn't just exhaustion. It isn't just discouragement. It isn't just a string of bad days or a dip in your motivation. This is warfare, targeted, relentless, calculated. The pressure, the fear, the confusion, the sudden flare-ups in relationships, the overwhelming mental fog, the heaviness you can't explain. All of it has been part of an invisible battle meant to disarm you before you step fully into your next season. And the reason it's been so intense is not because you're weak, but because you're carrying something the enemy can't afford to let you release. You've been entrusted with influence you haven't even fully seen yet. With authority that's been forged in the fire. With anointing that was carved out in secret places of surrender and pain. And that kind of weight terrifies hell. That's why the attacks came when they did. That's why things seemed to fall apart just when you started to believe again. The enemy knows he can't steal your calling, so he's been trying to steal your confidence. He's been whispering doubt, planting fear, magnifying your flaws, using every ounce of pressure to make you shrink from what's on your life. He doesn't attack what isn't a threat, and child, you are a threat. Not because of your platform, but because of your posture. Because you still get back up when it would be easier to stay down. Because you've learned to worship with tears in your eyes. Because you've chosen obedience over applause. Because you've kept believing even when your circumstances told you to stop. That kind of resolve carries a weight in the spirit. That kind of fire can't be faked. And so the enemy has tried to wear you down, not in one big moment, but in 1,000 small ones. He's tried to exhaust your spirit before you reach the door that's about to open. But I need you to understand this. If the battle has intensified, it means the breakthrough is imminent. He only pushes harder when you're close. He only attacks what he fears. And right now, he fears what I've placed inside of you. You've been entrusted with more than you realize. You've been anointed not just to survive, but to shift. Your voice breaks chains. Your prayers change atmospheres. Your presence carries my glory. And because of that, you've been targeted. But here's what the enemy always forgets. You're not fighting alone. I'm with you in this battle. I'm reinforcing your weary spirit. I'm surrounding you with my angels. I'm strengthening you from the inside out. And what the enemy meant to destroy you will actually refine you. You're coming out of this more powerful than you went in. The weight hasn't weakened you. It's awakening you to who you are, to what you carry, to what you've overcome. You may feel outnumbered, but you are not outmatched. I've armed you with weapons that don't fail: truth, righteousness, faith, my word, my spirit. You're not at a disadvantage. You're equipped. And even now, as the battle rages, I'm using it to sharpen your discernment, to deepen your authority, to stretch your dependence on me. The attack is not the end. It's the evidence that what you carry is costly, that your next is near, that you are stepping into something so weighty, so impactful, so drenched in purpose, the enemy couldn't stay silent. But child, neither will I. I'm declaring over you right now, you will not break. You will not bend. You will not give up. You are stronger than the storm. Because I am in you, and I am greater than anything that rises against you. So lift your head. Wipe your tears. And remember, this battle is not proof of your failure. It's proof of your calling. You're not cursed. You're chosen. And the weight you carry is not too heavy, it's holy. You stared at what fell apart and assumed it with a conclusion. The job that ended, the relationship that crumbled, the plan that failed, the season that didn't go the way you hoped. It looked final. It felt like a dead end. You saw doors close and dreams die, and you started to believe that with the full story. But child, you forgot who the author is. I don't write stories that end in defeat. I don't run out of ink when things get complicated. I never place a period where I intend to place a comma. And what you thought was a chapter closing for good was actually me creating space for something you wouldn't have reached if you stayed where you were. You didn't lose the story. You outgrew the page. And now, I'm turning it, even if it still feels like you're standing in silence. You see, you've grieved what I removed, and that grief is valid. I felt it with you. I held you when the tears fell, when the loss felt unbearable, when your chest ached from disappointment. But I never left you in the ruins. I've been riding in the background, sketching new beginnings while you wept over endings. What felt like collapse was actually realignment. I allowed the shaking not to hurt you, but to set you free from what was never meant to last forever. There are some things I had to close, not because they were bad, but because they were too small, too temporary, too fragile to carry what's coming. You were growing in ways they couldn't contain. And I'm not angry that you didn't understand it at first. It's human to hold on to what feels familiar, to cling to what once made you feel safe. But I am not taking you backward. I'm drawing you forward into places you've never walked before, and for that to happen, some things had to end. But this is not where it stops. This is not your finale. This is your reset. I'm turning the page to write new connections, new opportunities, new authority, new clarity, the kind you couldn't have accessed if you had stayed in the previous chapter. You were made for more, but more often requires less. Less clutter, less distraction, less noise. So I'm stripping away the unnecessary, not to leave you empty, but to make room for what's next. You're not being erased, you're being rewritten. And this chapter will carry a tone of victory that the last one never could. It will be marked by vision, by joy, by movement that makes sense in hindsight. But I need you to stop rereading the last page. Stop rehearsing the pain. Stop trying to force the plot back to where it no longer belongs. Trust the author. Trust that I see the end from the beginning. Trust that I'm not improvising your story. I'm fulfilling every detail with intention. What you've been calling the end was me closing one door so I could open a better one that's tailored to your true identity, not the version of you that settled just to survive. You're stepping into something that fits who you've become in the fire. Something that reflects the strength you didn't even know was growing inside you while the last chapter was falling apart. And here's what I want you to know most of all. I'm not done writing. Not with you. Not with your purpose. Not with your future. So let go of what you thought it had to look like. Let go of the need to understand every detail. Let go of the pressure to rewrite your own ending. I've got this. I always have. What's ahead will not resemble what's behind, and that's the beauty of grace. You're not going in circles. You're turning the page. And this chapter, it starts now, with my hand still holding yours, with hope rising from ashes, and with purpose that no ending can erase. The constant pushing, the nonstop fixing, the daily battle just to make it through. You wake up bracing for pressure, go to sleep carrying invisible wounds, and live each day measuring success by how much you manage not to fall apart. But child, I didn't form you from dust just so you could live in defeat. I didn't breathe my spirit into your lungs so that you would learn to simply tolerate life. You were not created for cycles of weariness, for repeating patterns of just getting by. You were created for overflow, not just enough peace to get through the day, but the kind that anchors you in any storm. Not just enough strength to function, but the kind that overflows into the lives of others. Yet here you are worn thin, stretched too far, convincing yourself this is all there is. That if you can just maintain, you're doing well. But that's not the promise I gave you. I didn't call you to maintain. I called you to multiply, to walk in fullness, to dwell in the light of the living, not simply exist in it. You've settled for survival because it's what you know. Pain taught you to expect less. Loss taught you to hold back hope. Rejection trained you to anticipate disappointment. And slowly, almost without realizing, you stopped dreaming. You stopped believing that joy could be consistent. You stopped expecting me to move in ways that bring not just relief, but restoration. But I'm shaking you now, not to harm you, but to wake you up. You were not made to live on emotional leftovers. You were not designed to carry the burdens you've accepted as normal. I want to pull you out of the shallow waters where fear feels familiar and into the deep where faith feels alive. I want to show you what it means to truly thrive, not through striving, but through surrender. Thriving isn't about constant momentum, it's about consistent connection. And you've lost connection, not because I move it, but because you've been too busy managing survival to sit with me and rest. You've mistaken exhaustion for endurance. You've confused burnout with being strong. But I never asked you to wear yourself thin for my sake. I asked you to remain in me, and in that remaining, bear fruit. Not bear pressure. Not bear burdens I didn't assign. Bear fruit. That's where thriving begins, not in what you do, but in who you're connected to. I'm not calling you to hustle harder. I'm calling you to return. To return to stillness. To return to the simplicity of loving me first, above everything else. To return to the joy of hearing my voice, not just for instruction, but for intimacy. You've adapted to survival. I'm inviting you to break out of it. I'm offering rest where you've expected only resistance. I'm offering renewal where you've braced yourself for repetition. I'm not just the God who brings you through. I'm the God who lifts you up. Who plants your feet in wide open spaces. Who sets a table in the presence of your enemies. Who anoints your head with oil until your cup runs over. That is not the language of survival. That is the declaration of a life that thrives under the care of the Good Shepherd. And that's what I'm leading you into, if you'll let go of the survival mindset. I know it's scary. I know letting go of your defenses feels risky. I know expecting joy again feels vulnerable. But you don't have to protect yourself when I am your protector. You don't have to ration peace when I am your provider. You don't have to fear disappointment when I am your father. You were never meant to do this alone. And you were never meant to settle for less than life to the full. So rise up from survival. Shake the dust off. Lift your eyes again. You are not barely making it. You are being called into more. Not someday. Now. Come live like you were made to, free, whole, full, and finally thriving. You've been waiting for the fear to go away before you move forward. You've told yourself, when I feel strong, I'll say yes. When I feel ready, I'll obey. When I'm no longer afraid, I'll step out. But, child, courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move despite it. I've never demanded perfection in your faith. I've only asked for obedience. Not because I need your strength, but because your obedience is where my power shows up. I didn't call the fearless, I called the willing. And I know that what's ahead feels bigger than what you think you can handle. I know the path looks uncertain. I know the voices in your head are loud, questioning your qualifications, bringing up your past, warning you of everything that could go wrong. But I never promised a life without fear. I promised my presence through it. And I am still right here, not waiting for your fear to disappear, but waiting for your trust to rise above it. I didn't send you into this without equipping you. I didn't place you here by accident. That stirring in your heart, that vision that won't leave, that nudge that keeps returning, it's not random. It's me. I've been calling you forward, not into something terrifying, but into something transformative. You've prayed for growth, for impact, for clarity, and this is it. But growth rarely comes without tension. It stretches. It pulls. It confronts every lie fear ever taught you. And right now, fear is trying to convince you that movement equals danger, that change equals risk, that obedience equals loss. But the truth is, when you follow me, obedience always leads to life. Even when the path looks risky, even when the cost is high, even when the outcome is unknown. I see what you don't. I know what's on the other side of this step. And while fear screams, "What if you fail?" I'm whispering, "What if this is the breakthrough?" You don't have to be unshakable to move. You just have to be willing to let me steady you. You don't need a flawless strategy. You need a surrendered heart. You don't need a plan that makes perfect sense. You need the kind of faith that says, even if I'm trembling, I'll go. That's where transformation begins. That's where chains start breaking. That's where the atmosphere shifts, not because you feel brave, but because you followed my voice. The enemy has tried to paralyze you through intimidation. He's tried to convince you that fear is your signal to stop. But I say, fear is just the sound you hear right before the miracle. It's the voice that shows up when you're close to stepping into something the enemy hoped you'd never reach. Don't let fear be your master. Let me be your guide. Let my voice override every whisper of dread, every lie of insecurity, every scenario of failure your mind keeps rehearsing. I know your hands are shaking. I know your voice might tremble. But your willingness speaks louder than your fear. And I honor it. I pour grace on it. I infuse strength into it. I don't need you to fake confidence. I just need you to keep walking. One step. Then another. That's all it takes. I'll handle the rest. I'll meet you with strength you didn't know you had. I'll flood your heart with peace you can't explain. I'll go ahead of you, and I'll cover behind you. You are not walking into uncertainty alone. You are walking with a God who commands the seas, who split the skies, who conquered the grave. I've led you this far, and I'm not stopping now. So take the step. Even with fear. Even with questions. Even with your knees trembling. Because on the other side of that fear is fulfillment. And what I've prepared for you will make every moment of hesitation worth it. Just follow me, child. I'll do the rest. You've been letting the past name you, letting old voices define you, letting failure shape the way you see yourself, as if what you did somehow disqualifies who I said you are. But I need you to hear me clearly now. I already dealt with all of it. The moment you surrendered it to me, the stain of it no longer existed in my sight. I didn't apply grace to the surface. I soaked every hidden place with mercy so deep, not even the loudest accusations from your past could reach through it. Yet here you are, still carrying names I never called you. Names like unworthy, broken, too much, not enough, messed up, disappointment. But child, I never wrote those on your heart. I never tattooed those onto your spirit. The only ones who ever benefited from you believing those names were the enemy and your own fear. And it's time they lose their hold on you. Because I have named you differently. I called you mine. I called you clean. I called you chosen. I called you free. And when I name something, no devil in hell, no wound from your past, no mistake in your journey has the authority to rename it. You don't need to keep apologizing for who you used to be. You don't need to keep qualifying your worth with explanations. You don't need to keep trying to earn the redemption that I already gave as a gift. When I redeemed you, I didn't leave a trail of condemnation behind you. I cast it as far as the east is from the west. It's not just forgiven, it's forgotten. But you haven't forgotten. You keep replaying scenes I've already erased. You keep building your future around what I already buried. And that's why your confidence keeps collapsing. You're building on old labels, not on my truth. I need you to stop agreeing with lies and start aligning with who I've declared you to be. Your identity is not a reflection of your worst moments. It's a revelation of my deepest love. I didn't wait until you got it all together to call you. I called you knowing your entire story, beginning to end. I called you knowing your battles. I called you knowing what would break you. I called you knowing what would scar you. And I still said, yes. That one. I want that one. I have plans for that one. Do you understand how powerful that is? That I picked you with full awareness of every detour, every disappointment, every delay, and I still said, I'll use them. Not as an afterthought. As my plan. So stop shrinking back. Stop apologizing for the grace on your life. Stop living like you're a problem I reluctantly tolerate. You are not a burden. You are a light. You are not tolerated. You are treasured. The cross didn't make your life tolerable. It made it victorious. Your new identity isn't fragile. It's sealed. And you don't need to wait for someone else to validate it. I already did. With my blood. With my love. With every breath I breathed over your destiny before you ever took your first step. Let the old names fall off. Let the shame disintegrate in my presence. Let the insecurity melt under the warmth of my truth. This is not about pretending to be confident. This is about living out of the reality that you are already approved, already accepted, already appointed. Not by man, by me. And I don't change my mind. I don't call back my promises. I don't second-guess what I spoke over you. So the next time those old voices come to accuse you, remind them what I've said, redeemed, righteous, restored, mine, and walk like it, speak like it, think like it, because you don't have to fight to become someone I already said you are. You just have to believe it, and let the way you live echo the truth I've already written over your life. You've been trying to clean up the mess before you let me in deeper. You've told yourself that once you fix this part of your heart, once you stop struggling with it thought, once you're more disciplined, more spiritual, more stable, then you'll surrender fully. But I never asked you to make yourself spotless before inviting me closer. That's not how love works. That's not how grace moves. You believe that the cleaner you look, the more access I'll have. But what if I told you it's the exact opposite? That the mess you keep hiding is actually the place I want to dwell. That the parts of you that feel unfinished, complicated, and inconsistent are where I long to pour my presence the most. I'm not knocking on the door of your strength. I'm knocking on the door of your surrender. I don't need a filtered version of your worship. I don't want rehearsed vulnerability. I want your real yes. The one that doesn't come wrapped in performance. The one that whispers, I don't know how to do this, but I trust you. I never asked for a polished altar. I asked for a yielded heart. Because my power doesn't flow through perfection. It flows through permission. Through the open hands that tremble. Through the confession that admits, I can't do this without you. That's where miracles begin. Not in the place where you prove yourself, but in the place where you give me permission to move even when you don't understand how. You've been spending so much time trying to be more useful that you've forgotten I don't measure usefulness the way the world does. I don't need your image. I don't need your accolades. I don't need your performance. I just want you. The honest you. The one that sometimes doubts. The one that still questions. The one that's afraid I might not come through, but hopes anyway. When I walked the earth, I didn't move through temples that were pristine and perfect. I moved through broken spaces, broken people, broken moments. I met the woman at the well before she cleaned up her story. I healed the man with the withered hand before he did anything to deserve it. I sat with the ones everyone else avoided. And I haven't changed. I'm still drawn to the parts of you that you keep tucked away. That piece of your life you're convinced is too inconsistent for me to touch. I want to touch that. That habit you've been trying to break on your own. I want to enter that struggle with you. The disappointment that made you close the door a little tighter. I'm standing outside it still, waiting for your invitation. This isn't about you working harder. This is about you yielding more. Let me move in. Not just in the places that feel holy, but in the places that feel hopeless. Not just in the rooms where your faith feels strong, but in the ones where your doubt still lingers. You keep waiting to feel ready. But readiness isn't what releases breakthrough. Permission is. And when you say, yes, Lord, even here, that's when everything changes. That's when the Spirit breathes into dry bones. That's when the chains you couldn't break on your own begin to fall. That's when the light begins to expose what you thought would always stay hidden, and instead of shame, you feel peace. Instead of judgment, you feel joy. Because I didn't come to your door to criticize, I came to dwell. And I'm not leaving when things get uncomfortable. I'm staying until you're whole. So stop striving to be perfect. Stop trying to manage transformation in your own strength. Just say yes. Let me in. Let me be Lord over every corner. And I will fill your life, not with pressure, but with power. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with religion, but with relationship. All I need is your permission, not your perfection. You've been praying for power, for clarity, for breakthrough, but the area where you're experiencing the most frustration is the very place I've been preparing for demonstration. You've been looking for answers in the areas where you feel most confident, most put together, most safe. But I'm not trying to show off in the places where you're already strong. I'm about to reveal myself through the cracks, through the pain, through the places you've tried to keep hidden because they make you feel incapable or ashamed. That weakness you've tried to work around. I'm about to work through it. That flaw you've tried to compensate for. That's the very spot I've been waiting to pour my power into. You said, God, I don't think I can do this. And I've replied exactly. I never intended for you to rely on your strength to fulfill what I've placed inside you. If you could carry it without me, it wouldn't be supernatural. If you could explain it, control it, or execute it perfectly, it wouldn't require faith. But what I've called you to is beyond human ability. What I've spoken over your life isn't about skill, it's about surrender. And this is why you've been feeling so stretched, so exposed, so inadequate lately. Because I'm not reducing the pressure. I'm revealing where your dependence has to deepen. And though it feels like failure, it's actually formation. I'm forming something within you that cannot be faked. Something eternal. Something holy. Something powerful. You've been comparing your journey to others, thinking you must be behind because your weakness is still visible. But don't you know? I use the broken to reveal my glory. I use stuttering lips to deliver nations. I used trembling hands to part seas. I used unqualified hearts to birth movements. And I'm going to use you, not in spite of your weakness, but because of it. Because it's the one place where pride cannot grow. It's the one place where my strength can truly reign. You've begged me to take it away, but I'm telling you now, I'm going to use it instead. You've seen weakness as a limitation, but I see it as an entry point. You've been trying to hide it from others, and even from yourself, but I'm shining a light on it, not to embarrass you, but to empower you. When you stop performing and start depending, that's when things shift. That's when mountains move. That's when what used to make you shrink now becomes the very platform I stand on. I don't need perfect vessels. I just need willing ones. I'm not interested in you being impressive. I'm interested in you being available. And when you give me your weakest space, I will give you my greatest strength. So let go of the shame. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the idea that you have to fix yourself before I can flow through you. My strength is not waiting for you to become stronger. It's released when you admit that you can't do it alone. When you kneel and surrender, my power stands up in you. When you admit, God, I can't, I declare, but I can. And child, I will. I will carry you. I will cover you. I will lift you above the waves of self-doubt and fill you with power that silences every lie. This is the exchange, your weakness for my strength, your brokenness for my boldness, your emptiness for my overflow. Stop running from the very thing I want to use. Let me in. Let me be God in the place where you've only allowed fear to speak. And watch how I turn that weakness into a weapon. Watch how I turn that scar into a sign. Watch how I turn that burden into breakthrough. You don't need to pretend anymore. Just be available, and I will do the rest. You've noticed the quiet lately. The kind that makes you second guess. The kind that stretches long across days and nights, where my voice seems distant and your prayers feel like they're bouncing off walls. You've asked, "Where are you, Lord?" And I heard every word. But I need you to understand something sacred. I'm not ignoring you. I'm tuning you. Not away from me, but toward me. This silence is not punishment. It's precision. Because the volume of the world has been too loud, and the clutter in your mind too thick for you to catch the deeper frequency I'm about to release. What you've interpreted as distance has actually been preparation. I've been shifting the atmosphere of your heart so that you'll be able to hear what can't be spoken in noise. You've been desperate for direction, for answers, for confirmation. But sometimes, clarity doesn't come through more information. It comes through internal stillness. And that's what I'm teaching you now. How to be still and know, not guess, not assume, but know that I am God. That I am present even when you feel numb. That I am speaking even when I'm not loud. That I am moving even when the evidence hasn't arrived yet. The silence isn't empty. It's filled with the weight of what I'm forming in you. Your ability to discern my whisper will be one of your greatest weapons in the seasons ahead. And for that, you must be trained in quiet places. I know silence feels like uncertainty. But this is holy ground. I'm sharpening your discernment. I'm weaning you off of noise-driven faith and bringing you into presence-driven trust. I'm silencing every false voice, including the one in your own mind that says, "He must not care." I care. More than you know. That's why I'm walking you through this refinement. Because what's ahead will require ears that don't flinch when I whisper instead of shout. Eyes that see with the spirit, not just with emotion. A heart that doesn't panic in pauses, but praises through them. You won't just hear me for yourself, you'll learn how to hear me for others. But to carry that weight, You must first become anchored in the stillness. Don't confuse absence with silence. I've been here the whole time, watching how you lean in even when it feels like I'm quiet, listening to the prayers you whisper between tears, smiling when you choose worship over worry, even when I don't answer right away. Your faith in the silence is speaking volumes in heaven. I've seen how you've stayed faithful in the fog, how you've continued showing up in obedience even when you didn't feel breakthrough. It hasn't gone unnoticed. It's gone deep. And now, because you've stayed, I'm preparing to speak to you in a way that will shift everything. When the silence breaks, it won't just be a word, it will be a release. A divine download that changes how you see, how you move, how you speak. You've been asking for breakthrough, and I'm saying, the silence has been part of it. Because I've been untangling the noise that used to define you. I've been resetting the channel. You'll hear me clearer in the next season because you didn't run from this one. And when I speak again, and I will, you will recognize my voice not because it's louder, but because it's yours. You'll know it deep in your bones. It will confirm, correct, commission, and it will be unmistakable. And you'll say that silence wasn't the absence of God. It was the invitation to know Him deeper. So sit with me, even in this quiet. Stay at my feet, even when the answers are delayed. I haven't left you. I haven't forgotten. I've simply been preparing you to receive what noise could never teach. You're learning the language of stillness. And that, child, is where my secrets are revealed. You've looked at the assignment and wondered why I chose you. You've replayed your resume of failures, highlighted your flaws, magnified your insecurities, convinced that surely I meant someone else. You've watched others who seem more prepared, more gifted, more articulate, and you've allowed comparison to convince you that your calling must have been a mistake. But I don't make mistakes. I make miracles out of vessels that feel inadequate. I specialize in calling the least likely, the least polished, the least confident, because then it's undeniable that the power doesn't come from the person, but from the one who sent them. And child, I sent you. Not because of your qualifications, but because of your willingness. Not because of your eloquence, but because of your heart. I knew exactly who you were when I called you. I saw every moment of insecurity before it ever formed in your mind. I factored in your weaknesses when I assigned your mission. And still, I said yes. Still, I breathed life into that vision. Still, I placed my hand on you and marked you with purpose. You've disqualified yourself in your thoughts, but I've crowned you in the spirit. That tension you feel, that stretch, that trembling when you imagine stepping into the next level of your calling. That's not fear. That's divine weight. That's the presence of my authority resting on your life, getting ready to manifest in power. You're afraid you won't know what to say. But I will give you the words. You're afraid you'll fail. But I am the God who turns weakness into witness. You're afraid they won't receive you. But I didn't ask you to be received, I asked you to be obedient. Your assignment is not about applause. It's about impact. And some of your greatest moments will happen when no one else is watching. But heaven will be listening. I've anointed you not for show, but for substance. Not for them, but for high. Not to impress, but to transform. So stop telling me what you're not. Stop rehearsing your insufficiencies when I've already declared you chosen. Stop shrinking under the weight of false expectations and start rising in the confidence of who I've called you to be. You don't need to perform. You need to carry presence. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to move when I say go. The miracles you will witness won't be because of your perfection. They'll flow from your surrender. The anointing doesn't rest on your ability. It flows through your availability. I'm calling you to step out, even if your knees shake. To speak up, even if your voice trembles. To move forward, even if the path isn't fully lit. You carry something sacred. Something the world doesn't need more polish to see. They need more power. And that's what I've placed in you. You don't see it yet, but you will. You'll look back at this moment of hesitation and realize it was the doorway to divine momentum. That all I needed was your yes. Not a loud one. Not a perfect one. Just a real one. And from that yes, I will pour out what you didn't know you had. I will pull out what's been hidden for this hour. I will stir up gifts that have been lying dormant until now. I will surround you with wisdom, with help, with grace for every step. So stop stalling. Stop waiting for another sign. I am the sign. I am the confirmation. I am the one who called you, and I have not changed my mind. What you feel unqualified for is what I've spent your whole life preparing you to carry. You are anointed for this. You are chosen for this. You are ready, not because you feel it, but because I declared it. You've been circling the same mountain, asking for clarity when what you really need is courage. You're not confused, you're hesitant. You heard me. You know the tug on your spirit. You recognize the nudge that won't go away, the stirring that keeps resurfacing, the vision that still lingers even after you tried to dismiss it. But somewhere along the way, you started believing the lie that obedience is only safe if it comes with full details. You started requiring signs, confirmations, external validation, not because you don't hear me, but because you're afraid of what obedience might cost. But child, faith doesn't wait for full visibility. It moves with full trust. I've already whispered, already confirmed, already laid the foundation, not with flashing lights but with a still, consistent voice that you've been trying to negotiate with. Not because you don't want to obey, but because you're scared to let go of the familiar. But I'm telling you now, it's time to stop asking for what I've already answered. You don't need another open door. You need to walk through the one I already unlocked. You don't need another prophetic word. You need to act on the one I already gave. I'm not holding back, you are. You're waiting for the fear to vanish, but fear doesn't vanish. It bows when faith stands up. You want me to push you, but I'm asking you to partner with me. I gave you the word. I gave you the glimpse. I gave you the breath. Now move. Not because it's easy. Not because you're fearless. But because you trust that if I said go, I'll make the way. Every time you delay, you let doubt grow stronger. Every time you hesitate, you give the enemy more room to whisper lies. But you've asked me to use you, and I'm trying. I'm aligning things. I'm sending help. I'm putting grace in motion. But I won't override your will. I won't force your feet to move. That's your part. Faith requires movement. And no, I'm not going to give you every step. I'm going to give you enough to start. Because faith doesn't mature in comfort, it matures in motion. I know you're afraid of failure. I know you're scared of what might happen if you step and nothing shifts. But let me remind you, your job is obedience. Mine is outcome. Your responsibility is the yes. Mine is the result. You keep saying, Lord, I'm waiting on you, but child, I've been waiting on you. I've been standing on the water, reaching out my hand, inviting you to step out of the boat. Not because I want you to sink, but because I want to teach you that your security doesn't come from the boat. It comes from me. I've already proven I'm faithful. I've already shown you I'll catch you if you fall. But what I won't do is drag you into your purpose. I'll call you. I'll equip you. I'll cover you. But I won't carry you where your yes won't go. So here it is. The moment you stop circling and start stepping. The moment you stop rehearsing the plan and start walking it out. I know it's scary. I know it's uncertain. But if you move, I will meet you. I will back you. I will multiply what you place in my hands. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Walk into the prophetic one that's already been spoken. Heaven is watching. The earth is groaning. Creation is waiting for the sons and daughters to rise, not with hesitation, but with holy resolve. So rise. Move. Trust. You've underestimated the quiet obedience. The moments when you showed up in faith with no audience. The days you prayed with no visible result. The times you forgave when it cost you peace. The private sacrifices. The unnoticed service. The yeses whispered through tears. You thought they were too small to be significant. But child, I've been watching. And I never miss a moment. You see mundane. I see momentum. You see inches. I see foundation. You've believed the lie that only loud faith changes the world. But I'm telling you, what you've done in secret has moved heaven in ways you can't yet imagine. You've been looking for confirmation through visible results, through applause, through breakthrough that makes headlines. But the kingdom doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers through consistency. And your consistency has built a history with me. A record of trust. A trail of obedience. A pattern of surrender that no eye has seen, but I've written into the story of eternity. What you did in the dark, I will reward in the light. What you laid down quietly, I will raise up loudly. Every step matters, especially the small ones. You've asked me if it's enough, if what you're doing matters, if anyone notices. And here's my answer, yes. I noticed. I see how you held on when it would have been easier to walk away. I see how you kept your heart tender when the world told you to harden it. I see how you've sown in places where you've never reaped. And I'm telling you now, the harvest is coming. Not just for what you did publicly, but for what you did privately. When no one clapped, when no one encouraged you, when it was just you and me and a silent yes in your chest. This is what I'm building on. Not the grand gestures, the steady ones. Not the instant obedience only when it's easy, but the daily surrender when it's costly. Every time you said yes to me instead of your feelings, you built something. Every time you returned to me after failing, you drove a stake deeper into the ground of your destiny. You thought it was insignificant. But the kingdom is built on mustard seeds, on loaves and fish, on a widow's last coin, on moments that seem too small to matter, until I breathe on them. And now, I'm about to breathe. On everything. On every step. On every tear. On every act of obedience that was hidden from the world but honored in heaven. You haven't wasted time. You've invested it. You haven't fallen behind. You've been walking the slow path that leads to unshakable roots. And the world is about to see the fruit of what you've built in the dark. But even more than that, you're about to feel it. The joy of knowing that you didn't build for applause. You built for me. You built for my glory. You build something that doesn't crumble when storms come. So don't despise your small beginnings. Don't question the value of your steady yes. Keep showing up. Keep trusting me. Keep moving forward, one surrendered step at a time. Because I'm not counting how far you go in a day. I'm honoring how faithfully you follow me over a lifetime. I'm not grading your performance. I'm rewarding your perseverance. And when the time is right, I will unveil what's been growing underground all along. Others may marvel at how fast it appears, but you'll know, it was never fast. It was faithful. And faithfulness is always the seed I choose to multiply. So walk, child. Even if it's slow. Even if it's quiet. Even if no one else sees it yet. I see it. I see you. And every step you've taken matters more than you know. You didn't chase the spotlight. You didn't force the doors open. You didn't manipulate your way into the room. You simply showed up where I told you to. You gave your yes when it didn't feel glorious. You poured yourself out in places no one else wanted to serve. You were consistent when others walked away. And because of that, I've been watching, not as a spectator, but as a father who was preparing to honor the one who honored me in private. You may have thought your season of hiddenness was wasted, but I was using it to build a foundation that could carry more. Not more for the sake of influence, but more for the sake of impact. I can trust you with more now, not because you've been perfect, but because you've been faithful. But hear me, child, as the doors begin to open, as your territory expands, As your voice carries further, your posture must remain the same. The same hands that served in silence must remain open in the spotlight. The same knees that bend in surrender in secret must stay bowed when the room gets louder. Because promotion in the kingdom isn't elevation, it's deeper surrender. I'm not taking you higher so you can be seen. I'm leading you further so I can be seen through you. And that only happens when your heart stays low before me. You'll be tempted to manage the moment, to adjust your authenticity, to maintain the appearance, to carry a version of yourself that you think people want. But remember this: I did anoint a performance. I anointed the real you, the one who still weeps in worship, the one who still asks me for wisdom daily, the one who knows every opportunity is a borrowed breath from heaven. Keep that posture, and you'll remain in my flow. Lose it, and you will start striving for what I intended to give freely. There will be more to manage, more responsibility, more eyes, more expectations. But don't let the pressure pull you from my presence. The same presence that sustained you in the quiet will sustain you in the crowd. The same spirit that empowered you when no one was watching will empower you when everyone is. But you must protect your posture. Stay teachable. Stay yielded. Stay hungry. Because this next season won't be built on your strength. It will be birthed through your dependence. I'm not just expanding your influence. I'm expanding your capacity. Not for the sake of your name, but for the weight of my glory. And my glory only rests on those who remain surrendered. That's why I took you through the process. That's why I didn't let it come quickly. I had to build muscle where others had talent. I had to build depth where others had noise. And now, because you've been faithful in the little, I'm trusting you with the next. Not just opportunity, but authority. Not just access, but anointing. But hear this clearly: what gets you there must keep you there. Intimacy over image. Obedience over optics. And if you ever start to drift, I'll remind you, not to shame you, but to rescue you. Because I love you too much to let you trade your birthright for approval. I'll fight for your heart even if it costs your platform. I'll protect your soul even if it means closing doors that threaten your dependence. I'm not raising performers, I'm raising carriers of my presence. So receive what's coming, with humility, with gratitude, and with the same spirit that served when no one saw. I'm increasing your reach, but I'm watching your roots. And as long as you stay rooted in me, nothing will shake what I'm building through you. You've passed the test of obscurity. Now comes the test of visibility. But you won't face it alone. I'm still with you. I'm still guiding every step. And as long as your posture stays in my hands, the weight of glory you carry will never crush you. You've spent so much time trying to prove your value by your output, by how much you can achieve, accomplish, organize, lead, fix. But child, I didn't call you because of your productivity. I called you because of your posture. Because when I looked at your heart, I saw one that was willing to be emptied of self so I could fill it with me. I didn't search for the most talented. I searched for the most surrender. Not the ones who had the loudest voice or the strongest plans, but the ones whose silence still reached my throne because it carried reverence. And that's why I picked you. Because I knew that when I placed my presence on you, you wouldn't misuse it to elevate yourself. You would protect it with fear and trembling, holding it like the holy flame it is. I never needed your resume. I never required you to build a case for your calling. I already knew your weaknesses, your gaps, your inconsistencies, and still I said yes. Not because I need more leaders who chase outcomes, but because I long for lovers who cherish intimacy. I don't need impressive, I need present. Present in the quiet moments, present in the interruptions, present in the mundane, present when no one claps. That's where my glory rests, not on the stage, but on the surrendered. And you, child, are a vessel I have carefully chosen not to display your greatness, but to demonstrate mine. I chose you because you don't run from my presence. Because even when you question your qualifications, you still lean into my whisper. Because even when you're tired, you still lift your hands. Because even when you're unsure, you still show up. And that availability means more to me than 100 achievements done apart from me. I am looking for resting places, not religious performances. I'm looking for hosts of my spirit, not handlers of my image. And you, with your quiet yes, with your consistent surrender, with your hidden prayers, you are one of the places I call home. The weight you feel, it's not just pressure. It's presence. It's the reality that you don't walk alone. That when you speak, heaven listens. That when you move, darkness trembles. Not because you're powerful, but because you carry me. And the responsibility of that may feel heavy, but it's also holy. I will not let it crush you. I will help you carry what I've placed inside you. I will walk with you through every assignment. I will speak through your mouth, strengthen your hands, and stabilize your steps. But never forget, it's not what you do that makes you valuable. It's who you host. It's who you've made room for. It's who flows through your surrender. Others may overlook the depth of what you carry because it doesn't always look flashy. But I see it. I see how you guard your time with me. I see how you say no to things that would compromise the purity of your heart. I see how you fast when no one else knows. How you stay up just to listen. How you weep when my presence enters the room. That's what makes you dangerous to the enemy. Not your skill, but your surrender. Not your performance, but your presence-driven life. Because people can replicate your words, but they cannot replicate your oil. And the oil came from crushing, from pressing, from private obedience that birthed public authority. So don't try to become more impressive. Just become more yielded. Don't chase being used. Chase being available. Don't focus on carrying a ministry, a mission, a message. Focus on carrying me. Let that be your obsession. Let that be your anchor. If you carry me well, I'll carry everything else. And I'll continue to pour out my presence in greater measures, not because you earned it, but because you've shown I can trust you to hold it without turning it into something it was never meant to be. It's been heavy, hasn't it? The days feel longer, the expectations greater, the weight on your shoulders more than you thought you could bear. There's a stretching in your soul that makes you feel like something is about to give, and you've begun asking me, why now? Why this much? Why does it feel like I'm being pushed beyond what I can take? But child, I'm not punishing you, I'm preparing you. I'm not tearing you down. I'm transforming you from the inside out. And yes, it feels like pressure, but pressure is what forms the vessel. Pressure is what shapes capacity. Pressure is what pulls out what's hidden inside. You asked me to use you. You asked me for more. You asked me to fulfill the call, and I spoke over your life. But more cannot be poured into a structure that cannot hold it. So before I release the next, I have to make sure you can carry it. I have to stretch your heart, expand your spirit, deepen your faith. I have to press the oil out of you, not because I want to see you struggle, but because I know what I've hidden inside of you, and it must be drawn out. Oil doesn't flow without pressing, and glory doesn't rest without a vessel made ready. You thought that maybe something's wrong with you, that maybe you missed a step, that maybe you're being punished for some unseen failure. But I'm not the God of confusion. I'm the God of construction. I've been building something within you that pressure alone can prepare. You don't even realize what's being formed right now: endurance, resilience, vision, sensitivity, maturity. You're becoming someone who doesn't just respond emotionally, but spiritually. Someone who doesn't just speak about me, but walks with me. Someone who doesn't just carry words, but carries weight. You see stress. I see strength. You feel overwhelmed. I see overflow forming. You say it's too much, and I say it's necessary. Because what you are about to step into will require everything I'm forming in you right now. You will have time to learn it later. I'm embedding it into your spirit now. That's why the tests have intensified. That's why the refining has increased. That's why you felt stripped of comfort and control, Because I'm burning away the unnecessary so the essential can emerge. I'm not being harsh. I'm being holy. I'm not being distant. I'm being deliberate. And in this pressure, you are not alone. I'm with you in the fire. I'm with you in the weight. I'm the one holding the pieces together when you feel like you're about to fall apart. I'm the one whispering, "Keep going," when the enemy tells you to quit. I'm the one guarding what you can't see and strengthening what you didn't know you had. You're not breaking, you're becoming. You're not being crushed, you're being crafted. Every ounce of pain has purpose. Every moment of heaviness is creating a greater glory. You prayed to carry more. This is how it begins. Not with ease, but with expansion. Not with applause, but with inner alignment. I'm forming a vessel in you that hell cannot shake, that storms cannot move, that time cannot erode. And when this season of pressure lifts, you'll step into the next season carrying authority that only fire can produce. And you'll look back and realize the pressure didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It brought to the surface what I always knew was there. And it made you ready. So don't curse the pressure. Don't run from it. Lean into me through it. Cry if you must, but don't stop. Worship while you wait. Trust while you're trembling. Stay with me while I shape what I've always seen in you. Because on the other side of this pressure is power, and you, my child, are almost there. You've been focused on what you're waiting for, the breakthrough, the door to open, the answer to finally arrive. But while you've been praying for the promise, I've been shaping the person. You've asked me, when will it happen? And I've been asking you, will you let me finish what I started in you before it does? Because the promise without preparation becomes a burden. The fulfillment without foundation will crush what it was meant to bless. And I love you too much to let that happen. So I've been doing the deeper work, not just around you, but inside you. You've wanted promotion. I've been teaching you to steward the present. You've asked for increase. I've been growing your integrity. You've longed for favor. I've been rooting you in humility. You've prayed for more influence. I've been ensuring your heart stays anchored in my presence, and not in applause. Because I'm not interested in giving you something that looks impressive but leaves your soul empty. I want you whole. I want you strong. I want you ready, not just externally but deeply, eternally. This is why it's felt like delay. This is why it's felt like you're going in circles, repeating seasons you thought you had already passed. Because I'm not just rushing you toward results. I'm building within you the character to carry them. What's coming is not small. What's ahead is not casual. You'll need clarity that doesn't shake when the crowd grows loud. You'll need discernment that cuts through distraction. You'll need a history with me that silence cannot interrupt and opposition cannot shake. So I've taken you the long way, not to punish but to preserve. You don't even realize it yet, but every no has built a deeper yes in your spirit. Every closed door has been a classroom. Every quiet stretch hath been a sacred whisper, let me finish preparing you. Because when I open what I've planned to open, I don't want you doubting whether you belong there. I don't want you entering with imposter syndrome. I want you entering with peace, the kind that comes from knowing you didn't take shortcuts. You didn't cheat the process. You let me dig deep. You let me prune what no longer served your future. You let me rebuild from the foundation up. I haven't just been watching your outer faithfulness. I've been paying close attention to your inner postures. And I've seen the moments no one else applauded, the moments you chose integrity when compromise was easier, the nights you worshiped through disappointment, the days you carried others' burdens even while your own heart ached. You've let me refine your motives. You've let me reset your identity. And now, we are nearing the moment where preparation becomes release. But don't rush the final strokes. Let me finish it fully. Let me seal it deeply. The promise is real, but so is the preparation. And they are not separate. They are married. I'm not giving you the blessing to complete you. I'm releasing it because you've let me complete something within you. And what I release, I protect. What I release, I water. What I release, I sustain. But only when it's attached to a heart that trusts me more than it trusts the outcome. So stay close. Stay open. Stay teachable. This is not about a destination. This is about transformation. I am not just bringing you into a promise. I am bringing a new you into a new season. You that is unshaken, undistracted, and fully dependent on me. And when it happens, when the moment comes, it will not be luck. It will not be coincidence. It will be the evidence that I kept every word I ever spoke over you. Because you let me prepare you, the promise will not just come, it will last. You were ready to walk through that door. You were ready to step into the thing you had been praying for. It looked like the timing was right. It felt like all the signs pointed forward. But then the door didn't open, or it opened and quickly shut. And you began to question everything. Yourself. Your discernment. Even me. You wondered if I changed my mind. If you missed your moment. If maybe you got it all wrong. But child, what you saw as delay was my hand intervening. Not to withhold something good from you, but to protect you from something that was not yet aligned with the goodness I had in store. You see what's in front of you. I see what's behind the curtain. I see motives you couldn't detect. I see spiritual battles you didn't even know were forming. I see conversations you weren't part of, plans being made without you, paths that looked like purpose but would have poisoned your spirit if I let you step into them too soon. So I intervene. Not with lightning, not with loud warnings, but with silence. With delay. With divine redirection. And though it frustrated your heart, it saved your soul. You cried over what didn't happen, and I wept with you. But while you were mourning what seemed like loss, I was warring over what was trying to harm you. Because what I have for you isn't just good-looking, it's good-lasting. I'm not in the business of giving you temporary excitement only to watch it collapse under pressure. I'm preparing something that will keep you, that will grow you, that will glorify me, not just in the beginning, but through every stage of the journey. And sometimes, the only way to ensure that is to pause the plan you think is right to preserve the purpose I know is right. I didn't delay to hurt you. I delayed to protect the oil you carry, the anointing that's been pressed and refined through the fire. That oil is too precious to be poured into cracked containers. That calling is too weighty to be placed on unstable ground. That voice of yours is too sacred to echo in the wrong atmosphere. You've been faithful, and I've seen it. You've waited, and I've remembered. I've watched how you wrestled quietly, still showing up in obedience even when you didn't understand. That is not going to notice. In fact, that obedience in the delay has spoken louder in heaven than many victories. You stayed. You believe. You prayed when it felt empty. You showed up when you didn't feel seen. And now, because you trusted my no, you're about to experience a yes that can't be reversed. Not a partial blessing. Not a makeshift promise. But a release so full, so clear, so undeniably mine, that you'll look back at every delay and thank me that I didn't let you step through the wrong door. This is how I lead, not just by what I allow, but by what I withhold. I don't just protect your purpose. I protect you inside your purpose. Because your heart matters more to me than your platform. Your wholeness matters more than your pace. Your longevity in the calling matters more than quick results. So if I say wait, it's because I'm building something better than what you imagine. And I know that wait hasn't been easy. I know the questions have been loud. But child, I was in the delay. I was in the silence. I was in the reroute. And I was working the entire time. You haven't missed it. You haven't failed. You haven't been forgotten. You've been preserved. Set apart. Held back for something holy. And when the next door opens, and it will, you'll realize why this one had to stay shut. You will realize why I said not yet. And you'll walk through the right door, not with doubt, but with confidence that the one who delayed the last was defending your destiny all along. You've asked me why it had to be like this. Why the road that once looked straight suddenly twisted into terrain you never expected. Why the prayers you prayed for peace seemed to lead into warfare. Why, when you were finally gaining ground, the resistance came harder than before. You've asked if maybe you did something wrong, but I'm telling you now, you didn't trigger this battle by mistake. You stepped into it because you were chosen to overcome it. The presence of the storm is not the absence of my will. It's often the confirmation that you're walking in it. There are battles you never saw coming, but I saw them long before they ever reached you. And I didn't leave you exposed. I equipped you. Not with weapons made of fear or flesh, but with weapons forged in surrender, endurance, faith, truth, authority, and the kind of peace that doesn't make sense in the middle of chaos. This battle didn't surprise me. It's not an interruption. It's part of the training. Not to harm you, but to awaken what's been lying dormant inside of you. Strength that can't be learned in comfort. Fire that can't be kindled without pressure. Power that only rises when the storm is real and the stakes are high. I know you're tired. I know you've been asking how much longer. But listen, strength is not born in the absence of struggle. Strength is revealed when you keep standing after everything tried to knock you down. You thought you were losing, but I see you gaining. Every morning you get up and choose faith again, even when fear surrounds you. That's victory. Every time you choose to bless instead of curse, to stay instead of run, to believe instead of break, that's the proof that what's rising in you is stronger than what's been sent against you. This isn't just a fight. It's a forging. I'm shaping a warrior in you who doesn't flinch when the winds howl, who doesn't shrink when the arrows fly. I'm building something unshakable. You've looked at others and thought they're stronger because they seem untouched. But you've misunderstood what strength is. Strength is not what you look like before the battle, it's what you carry after. And you, child, are carrying something rare. Something costly. Something refined in fire and sealed in perseverance. And that's why the enemy has come so hard. Not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous. You've been marked by my spirit, and hell has taken notice. But no weapon formed against you will prosper, not because you're never wounded, but because I am the one who holds your victory. This fight may have caught you off guard, but you are not unarmed. I have already gone before you. I have already written the outcome. And I'm not asking you to win in your strength. I'm asking you to lean into mine. I'm not requiring you to understand. I'm asking you to trust. Even when the pain is sharp, even when the nights are long, even when the answers don't come quickly. Because what's being developed in this season will serve you in ways you can't yet see. It's not just about this battle, it's about the authority you'll carry afterward. Authority that's rooted in lived testimony, not borrowed words. That kind of authority shakes foundations. That kind of authority makes darkness retreat. So no, I didn't cause this war, but I will use it. I'll use it to refine your voice, to expand your reach, to deepen your roots. I'll use it to extract every false identity you clung to and replace it with unshakable confidence in who I've called you to be. I'll use it to show you that you are not fragile, you are fortified. That you are not barely holding on, you are anchored. That you are not being broken down, you are being built up. This battle isn't burying you. It's birthing something in you that hell hoped would never awaken. And child, you're winning, even when it doesn't feel like it. You're being made ready for more. You're stepping into the fullness of what I created you to carry. Keep going. I'm right here. And I won't let this battle end in defeat, only in deeper glory. You didn't wander by mistake. You didn't end up here because you failed or missed a turn. This dry, quiet, unfamiliar place, it wasn't the result of disobedience. It was the result of my desire to draw you into a space where your ears could hear me more clearly, your heart could be stripped of distraction, and your spirit could grow in ways it never could in comfort. The wilderness looks barren on the surface, but it is one of my most fertile training grounds. This is where I separate noise from necessity, where I silence the other voices so you can finally hear mine without filter. You've been asking for clarity, and I've given you the wilderness. You've been asking for strength, and I've led you into weakness, not to abandon you but to anchor you. Because out here, where the old systems don't work, where the crutches have been taken away, where the familiar has faded, this is where you finally see that I am enough. That you don't need the crowd. That you don't need the constant affirmation. That you don't need to know every step. That all you truly need is me, and I am right here. This wilderness wasn't punishment, it was purification. I've been removing the idols you didn't know you were carrying: approval, performance, control, self-reliance. One by one, they've fallen away, not because I wanted you to suffer, but because I wanted you to be free. I wanted you to see what I already saw in you: a son, a daughter, wholly dependent and wholly safe in the arms of a faithful father. I wanted to give you something permanent, something eternal, something unshakable. But it could only come through a wilderness walk. Do you remember how you used to cling to outcomes, to certainty, to people who made you feel secure? But now, even in the absence of those things, you still wake up and speak my name. You still lift your hands when there's no sign of breakthrough. You still whisper your yes even when the sky hasn't changed. That's dependence. That's intimacy. That's what I've been leading you into. Because the deeper your roots go in me, the higher your life can rise in calling. And child, I haven't been distant. I've been closer than ever. Like a shepherd who walks behind his sheep to watch how they move when they think he's not beside them. I never stopped watching. I never stopped guiding. I simply shifted my presence from obvious to intimate. Not because I withdrew, but because I wanted you to learn to find me in whispers, not just wonders. I wanted you to know that I'm not only the God of fire and cloud, I'm the God of stillness, the God of dew in the morning, the God of manna you didn't earn but still received every day. You didn't survive the wilderness because you were strong. You survived because I sustained you. And now, because you've learned to walk with me here, when everything looked dry, when nothing made sense, when no doors opened, I can trust you in the land of promise. Not because you proved yourself, but because you let me become your provision. Your stability no longer comes from outcomes. Your identity is no longer tied to applause. Your hope doesn't rise and fall with circumstances. You've been rewired. And now, what you carry out of this place will bless others who are still wandering. You will speak with authority because you've lived what you believe. You will comfort with compassion because you know what loneliness feels like. You will lead with humility because you've seen how deeply you need my hand. And you will never again mistake a silent season for a fruitless one. Because now you know, this wilderness wasn't wasted. It was sacred. And I walked every step with you. There were moments you thought you lost the way. Moments when the map seemed to blur and all the clarity you once felt was drowned in uncertainty. You tried to backtrack, retrace your steps, wondering if maybe you misheard me, misstepped, or misjudged what I asked you to do. And in the wandering, your confidence wore thin. You said, "Lord, am I still on the path?" But what you didn't realize is that while you questioned the journey, I never once took my eyes off your destination. You felt lost, but you were still in my hand. You thought you were off course, but I was redirecting you gently, without spectacle, without scolding, leading you even through the detours you thought were disasters. I saw your frustration when progress stalled. I heard your questions in the quiet, the longing to make sense of all the turns that didn't seem to lead anywhere. But I wasn't frustrated with you. I wasn't waiting for you to prove you could figure it out. I was surrounding you with grace in every direction, hemming you in from behind and going before you with purpose. Because your destiny isn't fragile. It's not hinging on your ability to stay perfectly aligned every second. I didn't call you into purpose and then leave you to navigate it alone. I've been orchestrating the journey, even in the moments that felt most uncertain. You've believed that your delays and detours damaged the dream. But I'm telling you, nothing has been lost. I've already accounted for your hesitation. I've woven even your confusion into the path that leads to fulfillment. You didn't ruin anything. You've been learning. You've been growing. And I've been protecting what I placed in you before the foundation of the world. That calling hasn't faded. That purpose hasn't expired. I've simply been guarding it, not from your failure, but from what would have distorted or diminished its power if it arrived too soon. There were places you wanted to step into that I didn't allow, not because you weren't worthy, but because the atmosphere wasn't worthy of what you carry. You looked at the closed doors and felt rejected. I looked at them and saw preservation. I kept you from connections that would have compromised your identity. I held you back from stages that would have fed your insecurity instead of fueling your assignment. I allowed seasons of stillness not to punish you, but to prepare you for what can't be taken away once it's given. And now, something is shifting. You're beginning to sense it, not in your surroundings but in your spirit. A holy assurance rising like a whisper. You're still on track. Even with the delays. Even with the doubts. Even with the days you felt like giving up. You're still in alignment with what I've spoken over your life. And soon, what I've been protecting will start unfolding. Not as a surprise but as a fulfillment. And you'll see how every step, even the ones that felt backward, were part of a divine choreography that I authored from the start. So let the pressure lift. Let the guilt go. Let the worry fade. You haven't failed me. You stayed with me. And that matters more than you know. You've trusted through fog. You've worshipped through weariness. You've stood even when the ground felt shaky. And that's how I know you're ready. Because those who trust me in the unclear are the ones I can trust with the uncommon. You don't need to strive to get back on track. You've never been off it. I've been guiding you, even through the shadows. I've been guarding your yes. And I've been holding your destiny, not loosely, but fiercely, with the hands of a father who refuses to let purpose die in the wilderness of uncertainty. So breathe, rest, and take the next step, not in fear but in confidence. Because I'm not just walking with you. I'm walking you into everything I promised. Every detail still stands. Every word I spoke still echoes. And the fulfillment is not behind you. It's right ahead. Keep walking, child. I'm guarding the way. Amen.